What's up, Juan? We're back at it again with a live round by round here at the elaborate, illustrious, high-tech studios here in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's your man Sean Zittel holding it down. NFL Blitz cabinet behind me. Old fight posters behind me. This is the site of the welterweight unification round by round. I'm actually should have been all right. I actually should have been in Atlantic City for no, we'll keep the music going. I actually should have been in Atlantic City for this fight, but had some issues with my ID at home. I lost it at my son's baseball game last week, so I couldn't make the flight to New Jersey for this fight week, but you can feel it building. Perhaps an epic live round by round tonight at the elaborate, illustrious studios here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Boots Ennis taking on Ennis-Eimantas Stanionis. But I had to start this round by round tonight with Omari Jones opening up against William Jackson. I was watching the undercard. Saw Smalls on the undercard get to 14-0, get his 8th straight knockout. Saw Shakur Stevenson's cousin, Zakeem Moses, get a nice knockout after working the body and then placing a nice left hand. Just saw Giasov, not Bakram Giasov, but Shakram Giasov get a knockout. Played with his food a little bit, but, disposed of Ocampo, who had never been stopped before. So good stuff by Giasov. And, of course, we have that famous DAZN watermark, 7-5-C. Now it's off the screen. But, yeah, so I had to check out Omari Jones to get this thing started. What's up, Jamison Childress? What's up, Titus? What's up, J Money? What's up, Chance? What's up, everybody? Thanks for hopping in here. Sean, are you going to be in New York May 2nd? Asked Carlos Valdez. I don't think so. I can cover the Inoue fight here in Vegas for free without having to, spend time away from the family and spend a lot of money to stay in New York City for a few nights. Even though I love New York City, that's my hometown. I wish I could be there. But, yeah, I can't. I don't think I'll be out there. Plus, I don't know if I'll get the credential. I've been a little critical, to say the least, of Riyadh season. I don't know if I want to give the satisfaction of them turning me down. But beyond that, really what it is we got a Inoue the same week here in Vegas, and I could just save money and cover the fight from home, stay with my family. But Omari Jones is in the ring. Zakeem Moses. It's Zakeem. I said Zakeem. Zaquin. Zakeem. Okay, my bad. Zaquin. But yeah, Zaquin Moses. Got a nice knockout earlier on the undercard. But we're going to check out Omari Jones now. Let me see. Am I centered properly? I better be. All right. But William Jackson, 13-5-2. Not a bad opponent for just your second fight. Omari is 22 years old. Not coming out of the amateurs in his mid to late 20s like some of the standout amateurs like Andy Cruz and Lomachenko, who did face better opponents in their second fight. But Omari is younger than they were when he turned pro. And Omari Jones, one guy he kind of reminds me of, and we just had him on the Porterway podcast a couple days ago, or I want to say about 2 weeks ago, we had Omari on. And I interviewed Omari Jones back when he was getting ready for the Olympics in Colorado Springs, when me and Sean headed down there to talk to the Olympic team back in 2022. So I'm familiar with Omari Jones before he got to the Olympics. And yeah, very clean-cut fighter, very well-spoken young man. Could have went to college and graduated and pursued other things, but he's in boxing. And one guy he kind of reminds me of a little bit is Michael Nunn when he had his run going #1 pound for pound and became undefeated. He was a very clean-cut fighter, clean-cut guy outside of the ring, very technically sound and a tall fighter for his weight like Omari Jones. So he kind of gave me some of those vibes, those old Michael Nunn vibes, but each fighter is his own fighter. And I think Omari Jones, he has that promise about him, or what they call it now is aura. He has a little bit of that it factor to him. And then, you put the bronze medal on top of it. Eddie Hearn signed him right away. He drew a good crowd, and I think either headlined or co-headlined in Florida, wore the cool Penny Hardaway trunks. And, now he's having his second fight here in the Boardwalk Hall. Already third on the card. So this is a big spot for a fighter and only his second professional fight at the Boardwalk Hall. Carlos Valdez says, Sean, are we going to see Canelo Benavidez for Undisputed at 75? I wouldn't hold my breath. We'll get more on that later, Carlos. Please bring it up again later, and we'll get to it. So But for now, we'll focus on Omari. What's up, Tay-Day? Tay-Day says, I got Ray Ford by stoppage tonight. So Robo says the same thing. Desmond Hickman said, who has the stream link for the fight? I don't know. This is just a round by round, but, keep searching, brother. But Omari Jones, not to be confused with Omari Jones from Oakland. Omari Jones is an undefeated middleweight. Omari Jones is an undefeated junior middleweight. But here we go, round one. Nice, clean, red trunks, some fur on the sides, Omari Jones, starting with his jab to the body and to the head. He's actually going to the head first with that body, with that jab, but Jackson trying to close the gap a little bit, but Omari Jones steps out of range and then resets right back in the center of the ring. Prodding with his jab, shoots a right hand, but William Jackson keeping his hands up at long range, blocking those punches early on. Yeah, Omari, 6'1", tall for the weight class. You still see a little bit of that amateur style in him. Not, he almost got hit with a right hand there by William Jackson, but made him just miss the shot and graze the shot. But not settling down to start, using his feet. Maybe just a little touch jittery, but now he plants his feet and steps in range. Oh, William Jackson almost got knocked down on a feint. Someone called Brian Norman. Brian Norman was joking, after he knocked out Derek Cuevas that he hurt him on a feint. Well, William Jackson, he reacted 3 different ways to one feint by Omari Jones. So, yeah, the minute there Omari Jones really planted his feet and feinted like he was going to fire something hard, William Jackson very twitchy against that movement. So Omari Jones now back in the center of the ring. Still hasn't really landed a clean shot just yet. Halfway through the round, finding his distance. William Jackson takes 2 body shots. And down goes William Jackson. 2 body shots. That's it. That's going to be a knockout in the first round, it looks like, for Omari Jones. William Jackson trying to shoot the right hand. And Omari Jones just coming underneath with 2 body shots, a 2-piece, and knocks him out to the body. Looked like a left hook, sweeping right hand to the body. And that's a KO1 for Omari Jones. Didn't really get a chance to see Omari Jones settle down in there, used his feet, bounced around in the ring a little bit, pulled straight out a couple times, and you could still see some of that stuff from the Olympics in there. But really, the minute he connected with 2 solid punches, both of them to the body, William Jackson was done. And William Jackson posed no resistance in this fight, really. And it was kind of funny to see William Jackson, react the way he did to that feint. That was pretty comical. So William Jackson is up and totally fine now, but that 2-piece to the body did it. Let's take a look again. Omari Jones feinting and William Jackson really reacting to those feints. Omari pulling back from the straight right hand. It was a right-left, not a left-right. Omari with the step back, plants the right hook to the body, follows it up with a left hook to the body. Really, it was the right hook that did it. Yeah, it was really the right hook. That little stab jab, but it was more so that right hook to the body that placed right in that solar plexus. Very accurate shot, and not a shot a lot of pros are gonna see, because a lot of it takes a certain level of athleticism to throw the body shot at mid to long range. A lot of fighters to land to the body got to get up close to the other guy, and Omari Jones got good feet on him, good athleticism, and was able to make a good little move to the left, to the weak side of William Jackson. And then as he's making the move, let the shot go, let the right hand go to the body, and he turned it beautifully, got the knockout. Nice body shot knockout by Omari Jones. The slow-mo showed a quick little touch jab to range find it. Boom, follow up the right hand behind it, and Jackson was already going down by the time that follow-up body shot came. So yeah, in real time, it looked like a 2-piece to the body, but upon better inspection, it was really that right hook to the body. And he did it off a nice little, weak side movement to his left, getting to the outside of Jackson's lead foot and centering him up right to the middle of the gut with that right hand to the body, sweeping right hand to the body. So good stuff. King Braun said, I'm mad that Stream East stopped working. Well, we do have, this is the backup, okay? I know I may not be Stream East, but I'm gonna describe the action so good, King Braun, you won't need Stream East tonight. You won't miss it as much as you thought you would. Talk Trend says the feint had me scared. It made William Jackson respond with all kinds of body movements from one feint, and I just thought that was a proper moment, with the Brian Norman feint quote from 2 weeks ago. But we still didn't really get to see Omari Jones settle down in there, and a lot of that's to his credit. He gets his guy out of there with the first body shot he lands. But, we'll need to see, obviously, a lot more rounds from Omari Jones to assess his ceiling. But he has a lot of, promise to him. He has that Olympic background and a little bit of that aura, a little bit of that. And I realize what we're calling aura today, I think what we used to call it before was the it factor. And Omari Jones, you see him, if you guys are watching along at home, the way he looks in that camera, you see some of that it factor from Omari Jones. So I think given his size, his pedigree, the fact that he's got a great head on his shoulders, and that he's a good athlete, that he's definitely going to be a world champion, I think. But who's his... One thing I wondered to myself when my brain wanted to compare him to Michael Nunn is who's going to wind up being his James Toney. And I know that sounds like if you were an Omari Jones supporter or family member, you'd be like, well, that sounds haterific. You're already wondering who's going to knock him out instead of the first 40-0 run of Michael. No, I'm including that in it. Like Michael Nunn was number one pound for pound when he got knocked out. But I do wonder who's going to be that fighter that can match his talent, that brings a little bit extra spite and meanness into that ring. Like James Toney could match the IQ of Michael Nunn, could match the skills and the hand speed of Michael Nunn, but he had a little bit more of that Michigan, dog to him. That's just some of the things I think when I like to project fighters when they're young. I go, well, he reminds me of Michael Nunn. He's tall for his weight. He's very technically sound, clean-cut guy. So then who winds up being his James Toney? But, first things first, he's 2-0. And it's been a minute on these lives. I got to stop saying so much. But I do like Omari Jones. And I think, he's got some it factor. I expect him to make a run at the titles and fight for a world title one day. And, we cross those bridges when we get there. So let's see. Oh, by the way, okay, so bonus time. Bonus time in the live, everybody. Bonus time, chat. So, bonus to anybody in the chat. A huge shout out to you. If you could pronounce whoever this person's name was that beat Omari Jones for the Olympics in the semifinals. Chat, seriously though, anybody in the chat who knows how to pronounce this name, sound it out for us in the chat with the correct pronunciation. This is the man. This is the man. Let's look at his face. And I will take one crack at it. He is from Uzbekistan, just like Shakram Giasov, who got a knockout in the fight previous. So, his name is Asad. Asad? Yeah. All right, chat. Yeah, I'm not... Nope, I'm not trying. But chat, have fun. That is the last person who beat Omari Jones. Omari Jones, by the way. Omari Jones, bronze medalist, 2-0, 2 knockouts. A good young prospect in the division. But you know what we really got to like about Omari Jones, chat? This is more substantial than all that stuff. Where is... I need pictures from his pro debut. Where is it? Where is his... I can't... We can't get any photos of Omari Jones from his... All right, well, how about this? Nope, can't do it. Well, anyways then, I urge you all, if you don't know already, to watch his pro debut where he rocked the Penny Hardaway trunks. The Orlando Magic Penny Hardaway trunks. I think that screams it factor from Omari Jones. More than anything. More than the medal. More than Eddie Hearn promoting him and all that. It's the Penny. When I saw the Penny Hardaway trunks in the pro debut, I began to believe that much more. All right, so, but we'll see. We'll see. Still a lot. We still, jury's out, like, big time. We still didn't get to see him settle down in there. So, Matt Borges said, what's up, brother? Right before I get to Matt, Goat said Tim Bradley versus Antoine Russell fantasy fight. Oh, that'd be a good one. I'm going to favor Tim because he's a Hall of Famer, and, the data isn't out on Gary Antoine against opposition like that, but Gary Antoine had a great performance in Brooklyn. I was just there. for that fight about a month ago in the Tank Roach undercard. He did great, had a great performance. And I'm happy you brought up Gary Antoine Russell, because Gary Antoine Russell, I picked Boots Ennis tonight by stoppage. But Gary Antoine Russell beat Boots Ennis in the amateurs, I believe, more than once. And I remember a fighter, a very popular fighter. I won't say it because it was off the record, but a very popular fighter who's fighting soon. He told me that he made Boots bitch up or whatever. These are his words, not mine. And he made him bitch up in the amateurs and all that. And Gary Antoine Russell gave it to Boots in the amateurs more than once. And Gary Antoine, like Eimantas Stanionis, closes the gap and is a very educated pressure fighter. And so make of that what you will. But I'm happy you brought up Gary Antoine, because that is a point I wanted to make, that Boots, who has his holes and leaks on defense, despite having a lot of talent on defense and having highlight reel stuff happen on defense, sometimes he gets hit, he wears shots, and there's leaks and holes there. So if Stanionis, he can cut the distance and just be more compact with his high guard, more compact with all his punches, maybe that gets the job done overall. Maybe if Stanionis winds up winning this fight, and again, I got Boots winning this fight, Ennis winning this fight, it'll be his fundamentals beating Flash. Just a high guard, everything coming out tight and sharp, hands always coming back to the chin, elbows tucked, chin tucked, head down a little bit, not up, and everything being thrown properly and sharp by Stanionis, turning over every shot nice and crisp, and catching everything, being a small target as possible behind the high guard. And Ennis, whose chin is exposed plenty of times, despite all the nice flashy defensive maneuvers, maybe Gary Antoine Russell is a little bit of a blueprint from the amateurs that shows Stanionis can pull the upset off. But I'm not expecting that, but we'll see. I'm very excited for the fight. Let me get to my guy, Matt Borgeson. Thank you, brother. Thank you, as always, for coming through. So Matt Borgeson says, hey, Sean, I have this fight. I'm assuming the main event, Stanionis and Ennis. I have this fight very close between Boots and Stan. I got it a draw or a robbery. I think Boots will underperform again against him. I understand why you think that. When I was on Sean's show to start the week on Sunday, I said Boots by stoppage. This is the fight where Boots makes the non-believers believers, basically, and he gets people back on the bandwagon, right? And then I watched Fight Week, and I watched tape. I rewatched the Jukajan rematch, and the way Jukajan sent Ennis off balance with that left hook in between punches that sent him off balance. And gave Boots, and he touched Boots up. And then in the second half of that fight, Boots dropped him in the first half. And then in the second half, grew so frustrated that he just got sloppy. And then in the Avanesian fight, he wore shots. And then even when he's takes it a notch sharper than the Avanesian and Jukajan rematch, sometimes he's not efficient. Like, I've made this, I think Boots at his best is a Vince Carter. And I think that is Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, like not Kobe, not the guy, not the best player in the league, but a great player whose highlight reel is the best in the league. Vince Carter has arguably a better highlight reel than Kobe. I might be going too deep with this metaphor, but at Boots' best, he's like a Vince Carter, a Tracy McGrady. He can do everything. It's very flashy and stylish to watch. It looks beautiful on the highlight reel. It's beautiful to watch, right? But at his worst, even at his best, not as efficient as less talented players, but guys that are just more efficient, that have a higher field goal percentage or whatever. But at his worst, Boots Ennis is like a J.R. Smith. Like, he has great handles and great crossovers and moves and athleticism, and he could shoot the three-pointer, from 30 feet back, 32 feet back, hand in his face, but not efficient. And sometimes doing that flashy stuff to his detriment, when more fundamental stuff, sometimes when Ennis is doing this in the pocket, it's like you might have only needed to do something with less energy and more efficient movement, less wasted movement. You didn't have to do this big flashy move in the pocket. You just had to catch. You may not have even had to really move your head in this specific sequence. Just catch. And that's all Stanionis does. And ultimately, I think, it's not just all flash and special effects. It's talent, it's ability by Ennis to do some of the spectacular, dazzling things he can do. But if he doesn't, if it's not backed up by a foundation of real fundamentals, and if he tries to do it in spots in the fight where it's not necessary, then the less diverse skill set of Stanionis just being fundamentally sound might expose Jaron, might expose Ennis. So, I don't think that's going to happen. I think my final call on this fight is I think that Ennis is going to look beatable in spots. There's going to be chinks in his armor. Ooh, he took that shot. Ooh, he took that shot. Or, ooh, I don't know if that's Murtazaliev or Virgil. If it's those 54s, I don't know. Maybe even Brian Norman who can punch. But ultimately, he's going to pull out enough things out of his bag that just so many fighters can't do, that takes a lot of special, unique talent. And that's going to override and overpower the little flaws, and maybe not even the significant, even the significant flaws. Maybe they're chunks in the armor, not chinks in the armor, But even if they are, I suspect even as if he nears 30 and his flaws that stick out in some of these fights are his flaws, there's so much talent and sauce and speed and power and creativity that's going to override that and still make him a must-see fighter, a must-see talent, and the best welterweight in the world. So I'm expecting him, to still show some of those flaws, but to also override it with a lot of saucy, if not special stuff that still makes us go, wow, at times in this fight. But the reason why I had to back away, and Matt says he thinks Boots will underperform, we were talking about it factor just now with Omari Jones. There's times with Boots, I feel like that is lacking a little bit. And chat, help me with this, because I know there's something I'm sensing there. Sometimes I felt like even Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence lacked it factor compared to Sugar Ray Leonard or Oscar De La Hoya. I still think that. I still think in comparison to them, they do. But in their own right, without comparing them to others, Crawford does, and Spence did to a degree too, does have their own appeal, have their own aura or it factor. And Ennis, I get it. He's a likable, cool Philly guy, and Mr. Catch a Body and all that. But I feel like Spence had strap season and man down and the big fish shirts. Like his little quotes, they caught on. I want smoke and everything. And Crawford's Crawford. The aura around him of the quiet killer, the silent killer, the no-nonsense cutthroat competitor, that aura grew from back in the HBO days when Kellerman would talk it up. And I'm like, well, what's Ennis's aura? Because Ennis's aura to me has always been just the talent that jumps off the screen in the highlights and in his fights. But I feel like he hasn't I feel like there was all this buzz building around Boots. And I was a part of it, like on Sean's show and on my channel and on Fight Hype. Every time I'd see Crawford, it's like, what about this Boots fight? What about this Boots fight? And I don't feel like he's really capitalized on all that buzz. And so now we're here tonight, like it's almost a crossroads of his buzz. It is. Is this okay? He's 28 now. This is a legit fight. Is this guy for real? Enough of making him the Crawford boogeyman or, the next this, the next that. He's almost 30 and hasn't really done anything. He got the IBF belt. He would have loved to have fought Errol Spence. I think he could have beaten Errol Spence, but didn't get that opportunity. So he didn't really get to fight anybody for his title. Now he's fighting Stanionis. So that's what tonight's about. Matt Borgeson said, Omari got unlucky facing the gold medalist. Also, that William Jackson guy was freaking pathetic. That body shot wouldn't drop anyone but a quitter. I don't want to say that about a fighter in William Jackson who's had 20 professional fights. But old school writers would, old timers, your Burt Sugars, some of the media guys in the Hall of Fame in Canastota would have said, William Jackson's a bum, that he didn't come to fight, he laid down, all that stuff. The man has fought about 20 professional fights and won 13 of them. So, he's a legit professional fighter. You can't get to 20 professional fights and win more than half of them without having a good big pair of balls. So it is what it is. He performed like an opponent that was made for a 1-0 prospect. That's what I would have to say. Omari Jones did his thing. He got the body shot off the right hand, used his feet, bounced into it. Good shot, but I don't want to be a dick, Matt. Thank you, though, Matt. So, Matt, thank you again, brother. Says Zakeem Moses is overrated. He looks like I show speed and also is just as boring as his big brother Shakur. So, yeah, we'll see. He landed some good body shots. The body shot set up that little sweeping left-hand knockout, and I believe round 2 it was. He does look like Shakur. He opens his mouth during the fight like Shakur. His build is the same as Shakur. So, but we'll see. He, against a overmatched opponent early in his career, he was aggressive in a way that you didn't see Shakur always be early in his career. So, let's be nice. Zakeem Moses gets the win. But I do see why some fans would say he looks like Shakur light, diet Shakur. But he was on the front foot and got that sweeping left-hand knockout, got some body shots in. And, we'll see what he does going forward. He did beat Kermel Moton in the amateurs. I still expect Kermel Moton to be the better professional than Zakeem Moses, but Zaquin Moses. But he got his win today. And I'm not going to try and convince you to be a fan of his, Matt. So you're probably not the only one making those jokes. So are you going to be at New York May 2nd? I'm going to be there. Hopefully y'all can get me on the Porterweight podcast. I think Sean will be there. I probably won't be there. I'll be covering the Inoue fight here. I'll do a round by round. I'll be doing a round by round that night here in the office. So that is the upside. I won't be in my hometown. Won't be in New York City, but I'll be here in Vegas, and I'll be doing a round by round. It costs a lot of money to stay out there a few days. I'm not sure the access will be too great. I would like to cover it. I would. But between the money and between me kind of not wanting to risk getting turned down for the credential by Riyadh season, even though Matchroom's covering it, Matchroom will probably let me in, but or Riyadh season, even if it was all the way, their call would maybe let me in. But between the money and Inoue fighting here that week, and I could just do a round by round with you guys, I'll just stay home. Boots outgrew his father, says Gracie. Interesting. Gracie also says Stanionis has a solid power jab, fundamentally sound, good defense, cut the ring off well, good pressure, gives and takes a good punch. He does, but I just think that high guard style, as long as, Boots is who I think he is and is who his ceiling has shown since he was in his early 20s, I just think Boots will have too much creativity and power. Just too much creativity, power, and speed for that high guard. He'll start to go. Boots is a very good body puncher. And if a fighter like Butayev, who's very sturdy in the pocket and everything, remember Ratsbad Butayev, very good fighter from Russia, very good fight, underrated fight with Stanionis for that WBA title on the Spence Ugas undercard, but he's not as fast, as twitchy, as creative, as dynamic as Jaron Ennis. And he was able to touch the body and the head of Stanionis, was able to rip some body-head combos. If he was able to do it, I think Jaron Ennis will be able to do it. And Jaron's an underrated body puncher. Jaron is a very good body puncher. Only problem for Jaron is if he's trying to fight with his lead hand low or some of his hands low and trying to rely on his reflexes on the inside, not tightening things up enough, at least tighten it up a little bit, he might be wearing too many shots on the inside against those compact punches of Stanionis, who's going to keep it tight on the inside. And Stanionis will get to the inside because Ennis likes to fight there too. And Ennis likes to go to the body, but that especially early, I expect Stanionis to get the better of Boots a little bit on the inside early, and then I expect Boots to make some adjustments, start getting hit a little less, start rolling the shots a little bit better, catching the shots a little bit better, and then he'll begin to get creative and get a beat on Stanionis. But, we'll see. I can't wait to see the fight. But right now, Thomas Matise against Ray Ford. And we'll see that. Did Ford win? Asked Brandon Holmes. Hasn't fought yet. We're getting set for that right now. But Matt, if I got the pass, you can get it. What's Matt say? What'd Matt say? What's up, David Belgin? What's up, No Dice? What's up, Unseen Video? Angry Casual Fan. What's going on? Gracie, Jacob Musgrove, Jameson Childress, thank you, brother. Jameson Childress said, I rewatched the Mayweather sparring video when he was prepping for Berto and saw a young Sean Z in the crowd. Respect your grind and progress, bro. Oh, thank you, Jameson. Thank you for always popping in the chat, showing some love, man. Yeah, man, I saw Floyd train before he had that gym. I saw Floyd when he was in transition from his days at Top Rank, and before he got his gym in Chinatown in Las Vegas, and he had to train at Barry's Boxing, which is, right before you hit the strip on Highland. And I trained at Barry's Boxing for my little punk ass amateur short-lived career. And Floyd was training there right before we got out of school, and the gym would open up for the kids at 4:00. Floyd would be finishing, and we'd be hearing. We would, like they showed on 24/7, and Raymond Ford is getting into the ring now, the former WBA featherweight champ. We'll be calling the action for this Raymond Ford fight in just a second. But back to the Mayweather stories. So we would, just like you saw on 24/7 when the blood would be on the sparring partners' tank tops and stuff when Floyd was getting ready. This was right before 24/7, back when HBO only had their 30-minute countdown shows. And, we'd get there, and the sparring partners would be coming out with the blood on the shirts, just like out of 24/7. And guys would be getting their hair cut in the boxing gym at Barry's. They'd have a full barber there. Guys from, back then it wasn't the Money Team. They had the Filthy Rich Records stuff on. And they'd be getting their haircuts in the gym. Floyd would be finishing. And once or twice, we're all waiting in the lobby of the gym. The doors would open up, and I would hear Floyd, "That's right, pussy. That's right, you little bitch." Da 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 da. Just saying that those are the quotes I would hear. I don't mean to be so vulgar about it, but he'd be saying all that stuff and just beating the hell out of sparring partners, and then they'd be coming out bleeding. And so that was prime Floyd Mayweather training at Barry's. And then one of his last weeks getting ready for the Baltimore fight, because that's the fight he was getting ready for in late 2006. He was doing his sit-ups where he lays down flat on his back, gets all the way up from the sit-up and throws the uppercut, and then gets back down, gets back up, throws the uppercut. And he tells all of us in the gym who are doing our warm-ups, getting ready in our group to train and box that day. And he's like, any of y'all that could do this for, 10 times, 5 times, 20 times, you get free tickets to the fight. You get free. And we're like, oh, my God. And nobody could do 1 or 2. And where we were kids, some of them were the high-level amateurs, your Jesse and Diego Magdalenos and the Padilla brothers and Michael Hunter. They weren't in this group. But we had some kids with some amateur fights that were good and were training hard. We couldn't do 1. And but Floyd was cool. Floyd was really cool to all of us. And Winky Wright was getting ready for Jermaine Taylor in that same gym earlier that year. Andre Durrell. I used to see Andre Durrell prepare for the Arthur Abraham fight in that gym. Devin Alexander for Juan Urango. So the pros would come into Vegas, and Augie, the trainer in the gym, would have to tell me, don't embarrass me. Don't be a fan around these guys. Don't bother them. So, but because he knew I would go to the fights and ask for pictures after the fight and everything. So, yeah, that's real stuff. That's some real old school Floyd Mayweather lore. But Raymond Ford is in the gym now. Got the afro out. I interviewed Raymond Ford about the afro. He was he was trying to downplay the afro. I go, I like the afro, man. I'm team long hair, as you can see. If I was black, this would be an afro, right? It would if I had it grown out at this length. So I'm always team long hair. And he tried to downplay it. He's like, nah, man, it looks too 1970s. Someone called me a Jackson brother. I don't like it. Well, now look at you, Raymond Ford. You decided to rock the afro. I'm proud of it. Raymond Ford against Thomas Matise. Thomas Matise had a majority decision loss against Isaac Cruz, either a split decision or a majority decision loss. So he has a competitive fight on his record with a world champion level opponent in Isaac Cruz. Let's see how Raymond Ford looks. Raymond Ford probably stuck around featherweight a little bit too long, but we don't want to take credit away from the champ Nick Ball. He did his thing in that fight to take the belt. So round one, Raymond Ford, good sharp jab to the body to get started. Matt, I got you right after the first round. So, yep, good jab to the body by Ray Ford to get started. Let's see what he's got. Ford, it's interesting. Fast fighter, southpaw. So he thinks of himself as a boxer first, probably, but he won a good straight left hand, right hook behind it, and a combination behind it. And I was just gonna say, he's done his best work on the front foot, and he does have a little bit of a wide stance, so that makes sense. But he has a little bit of a wide base, and he actually has done a lot of his best work, putting his hands together, putting his punches together, and fighting a little bit more aggressively. He had to do that to turn the table against Klomatov. He couldn't outbox Nick Ball on the back foot, so he actually had his best moments against Nick Ball, going to the body. But even then, it was a tough proposition because Nick Ball's shorter than him and kind of get underneath him leverage wise on the inside. But even despite that, Raymond Ford tore him up to the body on the inside. So Ford with a good opening burst, a good combination there to start. Straight left hand sets up a hard lead right hand by Raymond Ford. Using that kind of rare 2-1, letting the brick hand go first and then following it up with the lead hand with some power. Minute 20 left in the first round, and Matisse struggling with the speed and the precision on the outside of Raymond Ford, who started with that jab to the body, is bringing the straight left hand up top, bringing a right hook behind that left hand. Good right hook, wobbles Matisse a little bit, back to the center of the ring. And Raymond Ford, if he could keep up this level of precision, good straight left hand to the body by Raymond Ford, finding with the jab first, touching up top, and then placing that straight left hand. Ford coming in with a combination, making Matisse cover up. Now Matisse finally gets a little aggressive on the front foot after he shells up against that combination to the head and the body by Raymond Ford. But straight left hand, short little right hook by Raymond Ford, pops the head up of Matisse. Right now Matisse, when he's getting hit, pulling straight out, his head is popping up. Super eye-catching for Raymond Ford in round one. He is following Matisse. He's got the athleticism in his foot speed to follow Matisse jumping out of range with good left hands and right hooks. And throwing the right hook behind the straight left hand, knowing the straight left hand is going to fall short when Matisse pulls out. And following it up with the right hook, snapping that head up. So about 10 seconds left. And Raymond Ford outclassed Thomas Matisse there in that first round. Yeah, good first round by Raymond Ford. Extremely sharp. Good hand speed, good precision. And pretty much got what he wanted. And again, we made him jump straight out of range, follow him, fall short with the first shot, and come with something right behind it. Good stuff. So thank you, Matt Borgeson, for the chat, brother. Says, Eimantas Stanionis is a body snatcher. I don't know if you know that, bruh. Also, you missed my super chat on Stanionis fighting Gabriel Maestro. Let's see. Let me see that. Gabriel Maestre. Oh, here we go. Thank you, Matt. Matt says, also, Stanionis' last fight versus Gabriel Maestre was arguably as good of a matchup as Chukajan. Maestre was a gold medalist and an amateur rival of Stanionis. Yeah, but something about Maestre just didn't impress me in that fight. I know he's crafty. He could sneak you with a good shot, but I saw more from Chukajan. I think Chukajan, I have to check the ages, but he just felt a little more youthful in there, a little more bouncy, quicker on his feet, a bit more deceptive and busy with his traps, where Maestre was really just, I don't know. I think Chukajan was a better opponent than Maestre, but That's me going off the top and not doing a straight tape comparison, watching the fights back to back. But here comes Ford to the body to start in round 2, just being sharp up top, straight, nice jab, straight left hand, and then making the gloves come up with Matise and dig into the body. Really good hand speed by Raymond Ford in round 1, and everything sharp. Matise pretty much handcuffed early in the fight. Can't get anything off against the much sharper Raymond Ford. Ford dropping that lead hand, pops the jab out, picks his gloves up. Ford doing a good job picking the hand up slightly at times and then letting the lead hand be down to stay creative. Pawing with his jab. Matise blocking some of these combinations up top right now because he's keeping his hands at home and not really letting his hands go just yet. And doing a lot of smiling as Matise. Trying to come forward now and back Raymond Ford up. But Ford looks strong at this weight. I don't think he's worried about Matise applying any pressure. Ford getting comfortable, taking little half steps back, stepping into his left hands to the body. So taking nice little half steps back, that lead hand now going all the way down to his waist, getting comfortable. Straight left hand, 2 straight left hands, and then a right hook to the body by Raymond Ford off those 2 straight left hands up top, setting it up with a jab. Matise lets go of his first right hand a second ago, but gets his left hook blocked. Straight right hand again by Matise. So now he's trying to step into some shots. Straight right hand to the body by Matise. Ford smiles. As if to say, okay, you're picking up the steam a little bit now. Jab to the body by Matise. He makes Ford's back touch the ropes. Ford gets out of there. Nice pivot. Nice shifting it over to the weak side of Matise. Getting to the outside of his lead foot. Popping him with a 1-2. Matise getting a little bit dirty. Picks up a straight right hand from Matise. And he bangs his chest to say, come on. Matise shooting straight right hands too. Matise trying to get confidence in there and smiling and making faces at Raymond Ford as if to say, your punches aren't going to slow me down. Raymond Ford getting some of his shots blocked a little bit. Straight left hand to the body by Raymond Ford, but Ford looks like he's taking this a little bit more seriously now. Right hand to the body by Matise. Straight right hand. Ford shakes his head, comes back with a quick combination. Matise keeping it a little bit tighter now, catching some of these shots. Matise, still lost this round, almost the end of the second. It's going to be 2-zip Raymond Ford, but good straight left hand by Raymond Ford. But Matise was trying to time him with a left hook. Just couldn't quite get it off. Couldn't quite get it in. But Matise showed a little bit of signs of life. Raymond Ford dances back to his corner. Ford's in control of the fight. He's the sharper guy on the outside. Everything is coming out sharp. Really good hand speed, better hand speed, sharper, more precise puncher, compact guy. But Matise started to let that right hand go with some confidence and conviction in the last 30 seconds or so. And, is trying to imply with his body language and everything that what Raymond Ford is giving him isn't bothering him and he's willing to walk through it. So, what's up, Glenn Chaos? What's up, Ant Life? Matt Borgeson says, Ford looking different right now. Thank you, brother, for the super chat. Matt says, only issue with Ford is not using head movement and getting hit with the jabs a little bit. Yeah, you're right. He doesn't do a lot of this. It's a lot of using his distance and half steps and catching. But it's efficient, though. Catching and using the shoulder roll. But he doesn't move the head a lot, side to side a whole lot. But, everybody's different. But he does get touched sometimes, Raymond Ford. He's not doesn't get hit as little as the other New Jersey champ, Shakur Stevenson. But I think he puts together more combinations than Shakur does. He is in this fight early on. Matise applying some pressure, making Ford's back touch the ropes. And again, Ford is a good boxer off the back foot, but he's more of a boxer puncher. Matise putting on pressure. Ford getting his check right hook blocked a little bit. Stepping over to... Ford doing a good job of when Matise applies pressure. Stepping over to his right and getting to the outside of Matise's lead foot. And then lining him up with a straight left hand or hitting him with a jab and being out of there. Right hook, straight left hand from Ford, but Matise dips underneath. Resets back in the center of the ring, applying pressure. Ford with a 1-2-1 out of that, using that up jab with the lead hand all the way at his waist. Straight right hand by Thomas Matise in the center of the ring. Getting a little bit close to that chin, but Ford backs him out. Backs him up out of the clinch a little bit. Pushes off. Gets back on his jab. Gets cornered. Good right hook by Raymond Ford. And again, Ford doing what he did in round 1. Straight left hand is a decoy shot and bringing a sharp, quick right hook behind it to catch Matise on the second shot. And I think Matise is a little buzzed by that punch. Ford straight left hand blocked, but shooting it sharp right down the pipe. Right uppercut just misses for Raymond Ford, trying to take Matise's head off. Matise doing a lot of talking. Minute left in the third. Good jab by Ford, sets up another quick combination. Ford is just boxing really well. He's not forgetting about his jab. He's not getting out of position. He's not getting too greedy, but he's not being too timid and too cautious either. He's boxing a good fight right now. Another jab, straight left hand to the chest, right hook. Good straight left hand by Raymond Ford. Sat down on that punch after using the jab to the body and stepping over to his right. And Ford, when he's landing these left hands, he's giving an angle. The right hook's coming more when Matise is backing straight out, and Ford is using the straight left hand to make him back straight out and then putting the right hook behind it. But the left hand is coming more with Ford on the back foot, stepping over to the outside of the lead foot of Matise. Last 10 seconds, Ford in the corner, but Matise can't get anything off. And Ford just too sharp, too quick for Matise right now. And just he's handcuffing Matise. Matise is only getting off the occasional shot here and there. He's having to keep these home a lot. And when he's keeping these home, Ford is doing what he's supposed to do. He's putting combinations together and not just trying to pot shot. Because if he was just trying to pot shot, Matise would be catching those pot shots on the gloves, and then he'd be able to cut some distance and mount the pressure. But Ford is boxing really well. He's doing a good job, not forgetting his jab here and there, and then placing little straight left hand to the body, straight left hand up top. And if Matise is just keeping the hands home, he's running the combination, so some of those shots get home. It's good boxing. It's good boxing. So 3-0. Esco Season, what's up? Says, thanks for the live chat. I'm on the road, driving, unable to watch the fight. Thank you, brother. Maria C. says, Ford in control, 3-0. Absolutely. Big Mike Gaming. Sean, you got money on a Boots knockout? I don't put money on it, but I do think Boots wins by stoppage. So here we go. Angry Casual Fan says he can't stand the Jersey style. What is it about the New Jersey style you do not like? Did you like the Bayonne bleeder, Chuck Wepner? He had some Jersey style against Ali back in the day. But I think Ford just is razor sharp right now. Good picking and prodding with the jab, and then that sets up little combination to the body right there for Ford. Back on the back foot, pressed on the ropes, punches off the ropes, 1-2-1. Jab, straight left hand. A little bit of a power jab behind that. Ford's doing that too sometimes, using the straight left hand to either set up the right hook or even a power jab at times. And he's not throwing... Oh, another quick little right hook off the straight left hand, quick combination to follow it up. Matise covers up on the ropes and ties Ford up. Ford just keeps making Matise back straight out when he follows up with combinations. And it's a sequence you're just seeing over and over again. Matise trying to back straight out of range, getting his head bopped up by a right hook, preceded by a straight left hand. Or if he holds his ground out of the high guard like that, boom, two-piece to the body by Raymond Ford. Ford just doing a good job, still remembering his jab enough, and touching that body, picking his spots to throw them in bunches. And, just good boxing. This is good boxing by Raymond Ford. And Raymond Ford is a good fighter. I think everyone who watches boxing knows that. So is he pound for pound, and all those super... Well, we don't know about all that, but is he definitely was a world champion for a reason? Is he definitely a good world champion level fighter? Definitely. And still getting better and really coming into his prime. So I like Ray Ford. I tend to watch him and like what I see. And I like what I see here. I like what I see. I'm not floored by it. I don't fall head over heels, but I like it for sure. Good boxer, good fighter. Solid pop, good straight left hand to the body. Does throw combinations. Does have spots where he picks up the aggressiveness. Just good all-around 130-pound fighter. Right? Right, chat? Any objections to that? Again, we're not calling him, Muhammad Ali. Matise is just totally handcuffed right now. He can't get anything off. Ford running the combinations in the center of the ring, making sure to dig to that body with that high guard up. Good straight right hand by Matise. That's about the first right hand he's gotten off this round. Or if not, 2.5 minutes. 2 straight left hands at the bell. Matise frustrated, losing some steam and some confidence. Ford picking him apart, 4-0, Raymond Ford. So, yep, good stuff. He is the future, says Boom Bap Streets. Well, I think, he's the future in the sense of he's going to be in significant super featherweight and lightweight fights for some years to come. And he's going to be a player in these divisions, but I don't know if he's the future. He's a flagship fighter, for a promotional outlet or for the foundation of American boxing. There's nothing wrong with just being a good championship level professional, a good championship level fighter. Stevie Johnston back in the day, guys like that. Not everybody gets to be one of the pillars of American boxing. Maybe he can duplicate the success Stephen Fulton's had. I think of him more along those lines as a future pound-for-pound star. Not saying he can't get to a pound-for-pound list at some point. I'm not saying that's out of his grasp, but I keep my expectations a little more realistic for him and appreciate that he's just a legitimate, real good championship-level fighter. And I'm not saying you were saying that either, but anyway, back to the fight. And Ford just in complete control, man. Not forgetting his jab, touching the body, picking his spots with the combination. Fighting off the back foot. Right now his back is on the ropes, but he's in control of it. Doesn't ever look particularly uncomfortable. Straight right hand by Matise. He makes a miss. Ooh, nice little right uppercut off the ropes by Raymond Ford. Touches up top, finishes with the right hook to the body. Straight left hand gets blocked by Matise. Tries the right uppercut again. Ford shooting that straight left hand, trying to punch through the center of the high guard. That left eye of Thomas Matise swelling up, and that right hook to the body is starting to cook for Raymond Ford. He's finishing up and punctuating with it. He should keep doing that. He's finding something there with that right hook to the body. Ford holding his ground, eats a little bit of a right hand, shakes his head. Had a good high guard, but Matise split that high guard a little bit there with that straight right hand in the center of the ring, but Ford ate it no problem, more on the top of the head than the chin. Goes back to backing Matise up. Body shot is there for Raymond Ford if he could slice with one. Maybe a sweeping left hand to the body or a right hook to the body. Matise is starting to lose steam and get backed up this round. Ford is preoccupying him up top, touching up top. If he could find the right moment to place a body shot, he could really probably hurt Matise soon in the fight. But he might look for a right hook around the guard, around the ear, something like that. Those are the openings I'm kind of seeing for Ford right now, who's taking his time right now, looking at everything. Jab, finishes with a little right hook to the body. Matise tying up in the center of the ring, frustrated, outgunned, but still relatively game. Minute left in the fifth. Ford measuring with the lead hand. Shoots a straight left hand at the high guard. Nice right hook by Raymond Ford off a touch jab. Straight left hand, right hook. Touching with his jab again is Ford. Little half step back in the center of the ring. 1-2. Matise catches it. Back on the jab is Ford. Measuring with it, touching it. Ford feints for a quick second. 1-2 by Ford. Finishes up with a left hand to the body. 1-2 up top again. Matise catching a lot of this on the high guard, but it's being thrown the right way by Ford. But, it's hard sometimes against a guy just keeping his hands at home. Matise does land a jab there. Gets countered by a straight left hand when he finally commits to a right hand again. Catches the three-piece on the high guard by Ford. Pressures him into the corner. Ford giving the shoulder roll in the corner. Lands a jab. And that's it at the end of the fifth. 5-0 Raymond Ford. If Matise is going to keep keeping the hands at home, can Ford be creative enough, powerful enough, dynamic enough to create an opening either off a combination or find something against a guy that's not really getting off, can't really trust himself against against being outgunned by the skills of Ford. So the question, if the fight keeps up like this, is just can Ford find the right sequence of punches, the right punch selection, the right opening to get a stoppage. By the way, Ford did get touched by a jab and a right hand, but Matise is throwing such a low volume, and he's literally just waiting for the perfect time to punch. There's that right hook on the slow-mo. Ford throwing multiple punches and punctuating with that right hook, repeatedly in this fight. Championship level fighters do that. They throw decoy punches as well as feints, knowing the first shot might not land. First and second shot won't land, but the third one will. Stuff like that. So that's championship caliber stuff by Raymond Ford. Ford back on the jab, straight left hand to the body. Matise applying pressure. Got to get to the super chat in a minute, my brother Matt. Let's see. Matise getting Ford on the ropes, but Ford is comfortable against this pressure. He's not worried about the power of Matise. And when Matise applies enough pressure to make his back touch the ropes or something, he feels in control of that. It's not effective pressure making him uncomfortable. And it's not pressure that's maintained very long. This is one of the longest spurts that has been maintained. Ford is still being cornered by Matise, but Matise not really opening up with anything, and Ford gets out of that corner with a jab. Back on the ropes, he gets pinned by Matise. So this is one of the most sustained moments of Matise pressuring Ford, but Ford comes out of the corner, straight left hand, right hook, straight left hand. Matise blocks it, but it creates room. Back in the corner is Ford again. Ford maybe trying to set a trap. There's a headbutt, though, that they both complain about, and ref doesn't stop the action. Back on the jab is Ford, and Ford's decided to stop fighting out of the corner now, back in the center of the ring. Matise, that left eye closing up a little bit, but he's been game. He's been frustrated, and good straight right hand to the body by Matise. Back comes Ford with a 1-2 up top to punctuate with the right hook to the body. Straight left hand right hook by Ford, getting caught on the gloves by Matise. Matise, good right hook by Ford. That straight left hand setting up the right hook, and that hurt Matise. Matise back straight out and ties Ford up. Matise smiling, shoots a hard right hand, but Ford picks it off. Left uppercut sets up a right hook around the guard for Ford. Ford steps over to his right, creates a little bit of an angle in the distance between the two of them. Ford in the high guard, one of the rare times he's really stuck to it. Now he drops the hand a little bit, goes back to it. 1-2 by Raymond Ford, trying to split that high guard and punch with conviction through the target. 40 seconds left in the sixth. Matise, a resourceful veteran, doing a good job of providing enough resistance, giving a good right hook to the body again by Raymond Ford. I would like to see Ford just keep sticking to that. I feel like every time he punctuates his sequence of punches with the right hook to the body, it finds it. But good straight right hand by Thomas Matise. This is the definition of a resourceful veteran in Thomas Matise. He's outgunned. He's not good enough to really compete second for second, minute for minute. But he's savvy. He knows the right time to apply a little bit of pressure. He backs straight out. He'll leave his hands at home all round. And just when you want to start going to sleep and you almost want to go through the motions, all right, this guy's not really trying to win. I'm not really landing my punches as accurately as I want because he's just trying not to get knocked out. And then right when you're about to sleep on it a little bit, he sits on a right hand. And that's exactly what savvy veterans like Thomas Matise do when they're outgunned by a younger, fresher champion level fighter like Raymond Ford. So that's what Thomas Matise is doing. He's losing every round. He's losing damn near every second of the fight, but not a whole lot is getting through. He's been hit. He's had his head bopped up by a dozen or so right hooks in this fight, but he's been able to take that, and he's just making sure to not get hit with the right kind of punch. So, and then just again, when he's starting to look totally out of the fight, he has a moment or two to keep Raymond Ford honest. So I've seen this movie before. I've seen veterans like that. Let's see, back to it, round 7, and I do got a super chat from my man Matt Borges that said he's leaping a bit too much. If he stays planted with his combinations, he will get more KOs. Yeah, a few times I'll cut him slack for that because he's leaping because Matise is jumping at a distance, and maybe Ford feels like, hey, if I don't make this leap, this athletic movement burst to cut the distance, I'm going to fall short. If I try to have my feet planted under me and cut the distance like that, I'm going to fall a little short because this dude is athletic and jumping out. So I kind of got to jump in with him to cut the distance. That might be what it is for Ford. Or to your point, maybe an elite fighter and not just a championship level fighter would figure out how to do that. And whatever technical approach they would have to do, they'd find a way to have their feet more underneath them when they follow Matise out straight out the back door. So, but, Ford, I get why he would do it. If the guy's jumping out, I got to almost jump with him. But Ford, with a good combination, with a minute left in round 7, sat down on those shots. Some of those found the chin through the high guard of Matise. Matise applying pressure again. Yeah, Ford is jumping in with his shots, though. Matt Borgeson is right. His feet aren't always steady underneath him, yeah. And because at times, too, he's shifting to the weak side angle. He's making sure his lead foot is to the outside of Matise. And sometimes he's doing that movement in one fell swoop with his feet not completely underneath him. So maybe that's why that knockout shot hasn't come, even though he's busted up Matise a little bit. Ford, not as accurate this last 30 seconds. Still poking and prodding, getting backed up on the ropes. Matise still throwing every now and then a hard right hand right down the pipe. Jab by Matise, straight right hand by Matise. Ford defensively sound against the rope, ties him up, turns him. Referee sets him back in the center of the ring. So Ford, lead hand down. Pecking with the jab. Good eyes by Ford. Left uppercut a little bit short by Raymond. Ford off the jab. Straight right hand by Matise. Getting close to that mark. Matise drops both hands. That's what I mean. Savvy dude. Savvy veteran. Drops both hands and applies a little bit of pressure. Gives a couple of looks. It's just a crafty pro. I could see why he gave Isaac Cruz some issues. Gave him a competitive fight. And for comparison's sake, Ford is on his way to a shutout. Isaac Cruz lost a number of rounds on the scorecards against Thomas Matise. But Matise has also been stopped. So 4 losses. And that was a round where Ford wasn't as effective down the stretch, wasn't as accurate, but still easily won the round. Landed some clean combinations earlier in the round. So 7-0 Raymond Ford, but it is starting to look like Matise is resourceful enough to get to the finish line tonight. Chris Lopez, yo, bro, do you think Boots knocks out, bro? I do. I think I have Boots by stoppage, but I think particularly early, man, he's going to get touched up as well on the inside by Stanionis. He's going to wear some shots. Cecil says, yeah, the leaping is because of the range. Ford has to do it, especially throwing that 2-1 because Matise keeps stepping back. That's what I see too. These empty punches will get you knocked out, said Unseen Video, because eventually Ford is going to realize he just needs to eat it and land the hook. Once again, Ford cornered and Matise can't pull the trigger. Right. Round 8. And Matise, again, coming out, trying to apply some pressure. Ford almost makes a funny grin at him like, come on now. Stop this fake pressure. It's a Ford, that grin is him saying like it's a bluffing pressure. It looks good. You're coming out, but then you don't throw any punches. You don't give me anything to counter. So fuck out of here with that bullshit. 30 seconds in, straight left hand to the body by Raymond Ford. Oh, nice right hook to the body by Ford off a straight left hand. The feints freezing Matise for a second. Matise has to adjust his belt line because they felt that body work. Would like to have seen Ford stay more consistent to the body the last couple rounds. I feel like he's shown the sequences, the right punch selections at times and hasn't gone back to them to the body as much. but totally in control of the 8th round too. Nice quick 1-2, sets up another quick shot to the body. Back on the jab. Never forgetting his jab. Measures with the lead hand. Jab, straight left hand, right hook. Turns a nice quick pivot off the ropes. Good back foot boxing. Back on the jab. And he is just getting to the outside positioning. The footwork is too much for Thomas Matise. The hand speed, the precision, the fact that the combinations are coming often. The jab has good timing. It's just good boxing by Raymond Ford. This is what you call outboxing the other guy. Sometimes we call pot shotting and a lack of activity and a bit of a discomfort or a hesitancy against the pressure. We call that beautiful boxing when it's not. It's not even really good boxing. This is pretty good boxing by Raymond Ford. There's a good combination by 5-punch combination, 3-punch combination by Raymond Ford, 2-punch combination by Raymond Ford, straight left hand by Raymond Ford. Ford drops both hands, goes back. Just right when I said it, right, chat? Right when I said it. That's real. That's good boxing on the back foot. Good jab by Raymond Ford. And you don't even necessarily have to do what I'm saying you're doing to be effective. You can win a fight, but I'm saying like what I think most even purists consider good boxing is more what Raymond Ford has done this round on the back foot. Picking his spots with combinations, not forgetting his jab, not forgetting the body. Good combination again by Raymond Ford. 1, 2, 3. Left uppercut. Back on a 3-punch combination right after that. Good, just sharp, quick hands by Raymond Ford. And good angling off against the lead foot position against Thomas Matise. Always stepping off to that right, dominating that lead foot position and good boxing. Thomas Matise hardly threw any punches that round because he was so disarmed, so outboxed. He got his ears boxed off in the 8th round. And again, it wasn't the most prolific 8th round. It wasn't like, although Ford ran plenty of combinations, it wasn't, Mayweather Gotti. It wasn't Muhammad Ali in the 3rd round stopping Jerry Quarry with the cut. But that was very good boxing by Raymond Ford. Just good, clean work. That's the stuff. Again, that right hook has been money by throwing the punches in combination. If he was only looking to pot shot, he wouldn't be as effective tonight. But he's not doing that. He's making sure he throws a number of times, 3, 4, 5-punch combos, and really finding the home with that right hook. More than the left hand. If he was so focused as a southpaw on his left hand, it wouldn't make him as effective as tonight. And the left hand has poked that body a lot. The left hand at times has split the high guard. There's been times he got that lead foot positioning, on Matisse stepping over to the right and bopping him with the left hand. But it's really been more the right hook has been his best punch tonight. And the jab has been there busy enough to set it all up. So that's what you ask for out of real back foot boxing. Hey, where's that jab? Don't forget about that body. Where's our combinations? It can't always be 1 or 2 at a time. So I like that from Ford tonight. This is a very decent, very solid exhibition of championship level boxing. So minute into the 9th, Chris Mannix has it a clean sweep. It's been a shutout. Good jab right now by Raymond Ford. Matisse applying that fake pressure. Putting a nice mean face on. Good straight right hand by Matisse, though. Matisse, again, good straight right hand again by Matisse. Backing Ford into the corner and making a nice nasty face at Raymond Ford. I'm still here. I'm no punk. Just when Sean was going to get disrespectful with the commentary, I let that fucking right hand go. I chucked it. Raymond and Matisse, that gives him some bravado again. Some bravado. He's talking a lot. Beats his chest a little bit. Throwing that right hand right down the pipe with confidence. That's his lone weapon in this fight. And then he tries to lead with the left hook. Goes, as if I would have got you with that. Straight right hand again by Matisse. But I think Ford wants him to settle down. See, Matisse is throwing it and then reacting very quickly. Getting out of dodge. Matisse is taunting him for making him fall short with a straight left hand. Matisse is a character right now in the 9th round. Ford touches up top of the combination. Digs with the right hook to the body. But Matisse is having his best moment of the fight right now. Those right hands got in about a minute ago. He's talking. He's making Ford miss, and he's jawing a lot to him. Ford is talking back to him now. And this is what a savvy veteran does, guys. They throw that occasional hard shot just when you're going to fall asleep. Then they make it hard for you to hit them. Then they start talking or making they do certain body languages. They try to con their way through the fight. And I mean that as a compliment. That's an old-time phrase. Old school fighters used to know how to con their way through a fight, bluff their way. And Matise has done a beautiful job of that here in round 9. Beautiful job. I'm going to give him this round. There's 20 seconds left. This might be a Matise round. Because that's how you bluff him, champ. That's how you bluff. That's all the old veteran savvy tricks when you're outgunned. You make faces, talk to him, finally hit him with 2 right hands, and then play defense the rest of the round. Don't let him land nothing. Don't get greedy because you finally had a moment. And that does it round 9. We're giving that to Thomas Matise. He gets off the schneid. I don't even know if he truly won the round, but he did land those 2 right hands a little bit, and he did frustrate Raymond Ford. He frustrated Raymond Ford a little bit. Raymond Ford is not sitting in the corner. Raymond Ford said, give me my water, man. I'm about to beat his ass in this 10th round. And Thomas Matise is like, no, you're not. I'm going to con my way through one. You're going to win the round. You're going to win the round because you're pissed off and you're going to be active. But I'm not going to let you stop me. Nope. And I will not actually try to knock you out in the 10th. Except with 1 or 2 right hands. So this is great. You got to love it. Veteran tactics, Chris. Glenn Chaos calls it delusional fighting. So here we go. Here we go. Phil Seratore. Good to see you, Paisan. Sean, your takes on Porterway pod always line up. You know you're boxing. I try to, man. I try. I get some wrong, though, obviously. But here we go. Round 10. Round 10, Thomas Matise, who bluffed his way beautifully through the 9th round. Does he have any more antics, any more veteran little flair and tactics here to piss Raymond Ford off? He certainly won't win the fight, but can he piss Raymond Ford off for 3 more minutes? Ford falling short with his first 2-1, 1-2. Ford trying to do that straight left hand right hook, and Matise smiles at him as he backs out of range and then resets in the center of the ring. Matise jumping out like a jackrabbit whenever Ford fires his combinations, but then he resets right away as if he's right back on that front foot, applying pressure, not letting his hands go, talking. Hands up high from Matise. Ford is at least respectful of having to stay honest enough to not just get off. Ford gets his jab off, straight left hand blocked. 2 minutes left in the fight. Matise measures and then bounces a little bit out of range, gets back in range. Ford straight left hand blocked. Ford, I know he got under his skin a little bit. He irritated him a little bit in that 9th round. And Ford doesn't want to give him something cheap. Ford doesn't want to get frustrated and let something go and get countered or something. So Ford is staying patient here in the 10th and hoping Matise fucks around and actually tries to win for a sequence or 2 so he can catch him in between shots. Ford forgetting about his jab. Right hook, left hand, both blocked by Matise. Ford forgetting about his jab a little bit. Yep, Ford sweeping over the top of the left hand, gets it blocked. Right hook gets blocked. And now it's because Ford has forgotten about the jab a little bit of this round. And that's the veteran making him do that, pissing him off a little bit. You know, making him wait on a moment where he can punch at the same time he's punching, but he's not punching, so that time is not going to come. And so this is how you con your way through the round. This is how you do it. This is beautiful. He threw the right hand honest enough and pissed Ford off enough to make him forget about his jab a little bit. And here we go. Seconds tick off the clock, and he's going to make it to the distance. He makes Ford miss a right hook, and he backs out and looks at him, fixes his trunks. He's very pleased with himself. Blocks the left hook, he blocks all the punches of Raymond Ford and then applies pressure and only throws 1 punch. Blocks another straight left hand by Raymond Ford. 20 seconds left. Backs Ford up on the ropes, lets a big right hand go. Ford blocks it. Another right hand go. Ford blocks it. Ties him up. 10 seconds left. Oh, Thomas Matise says, get off me, ref. Why I oughta. This is great. And doesn't let his hands go. Bats the ref's down hand. Doesn't even let a punch go at the bell. And he successfully pissed Raymond Ford off and frustrated him. Raymond Ford was having a good time. He was sweeping him for 8 rounds, boxing great. And then Matise threw a couple of hard right hands with conviction and then conned his way through the rest of the 9th round and kind of won that round and then did nothing in the 10th round but had Ford wanting to knock him out, I think, wanting to punch when he punches. But you can't punch when I punch if I don't punch. Brilliant veteran tactics by Thomas Matise, all jokes aside. 9-1, Raymond Ford, and really it could have even been 10-0, but I had to give Matise the 9th. So 99-91, Raymond Ford. So that's why we come here to the lives, right, chat? We break down in depth how veteran fighters, when they're outgunned, guys that aren't really world champions, but they're pros. They got a lot of wins on their record, got some losses, they fought some names, they may never win a title, but they know how to handle themselves in there. And we just saw an exhibition down the stretch of how to con your way and survive in a fight when you're outgunned and get to that finish line and hold your head high. Good job by Thomas Matise. And Angry Casual Fan says Matise schooled him mentally. Well, he gives him something to think about in the future. He allowed those 2 right hands. He allowed that moment. I get it. His pressure is bullshit, and you're kind of trying to set a trap. You want him to get comfortable and get some bravado, so you finally have an opening to counter off of because he's giving you none of that all night long. But in doing that, trying to set that trap, now you're giving ground. Now you're giving him time to regain some confidence and build up some courage again to let some of those right hands go. And so your back's on the ropes when it doesn't need to be. And here come the 2 right hands. Now he's got a little bravado, but he's going to go back to making you miss. Now you're frustrated, and that frustration carries into the 10th. You're not throwing combinations anymore. You're not poking with the jab to set everything up, pick them apart. So Ford has that to go back to the drawing board with. Okay, well, I loved what I did for 8 rounds. To Matt Borgeson's point, got to find a way maybe to have my feet underneath me, even though Matise was doing things to make me have to pick my feet up. But there was times I hit the pivot and didn't have my feet settled when I would get to the angle on the outside of the lead foot. And I'd land the shot or land the combination, but I didn't hurt him or knock him out because my feet weren't underneath me. While I'm making that move, I'm doing this quick, athletic, good move to the outside. It's not, and getting the angle, but I got to find a way to get my feet underneath me when I do it. And then in the last 2 rounds, if I'm frustrated, I can't forget about my jab. So that's stuff for Raymond Ford to brush up on. But other than that, it was a B+ performance. It was a very good performance. I thought he boxed really well for 8 rounds, and I just think he's a very good fighter and a well-rounded fighter. I still like him better when he's a little bit more aggressive than he is trying to finesse it, to box on the back foot. He is a boxer. But I think I like him more as a boxer puncher, and I like him more when his game is revolving around, okay, what are the spots in this round where I'm going to get my work done, where I'm going to get my shit off to the body and get my combinations. What are those? That's what I wanted to work around instead of don't get hit and hit. Because it's funny that the name of the game is to hit and don't get hit, but sometimes guys say that and then they play don't get hit and hit. And I like Raymond Ford as more hit and don't get hit. Be first with that jab. Box. Use your back foot ability. Box. Go backwards, side to side. Stay in the pocket. All that. Mix it all up. But I like for him better his identity to be leaning a little bit more on combinations and being a little bit more offensive. I don't want him to confuse himself for Shakur Stevenson or Floyd Mayweather towards the end of his career. He's got to let those combos flow. Do it his way, But that's my take on Ray Ford. But I like Ray Ford. I love his fight with Klomatov last year, was along with the fight with Angelo Leo and some other fights, was my favorite fight of last year. One fight of the year for some publications. So Yeah, I like Ray Ford. Shout out to him. Again, the only bad thing I could say about him is I don't know if he's pound for pound or special or any of those kind of things, but I definitely know he's world championship caliber and not a slight step below it or anything lower than that. He's a legit guy at the championship level. Already proved that at featherweight, but I think he will be for a significant time coming forward. So Foster schools Ray Ford. I don't know about that. Foster, if Ray doesn't let his hands go enough and tries to just box with O'Shaquie Foster and not run some of his combinations, and he got to get the out. Yeah, if he tries to go pot shot for pot shot with O'Shaquie Foster and just box all night, make it a pure boxing match, then O'Shaquie, I think, is a little bit better boxer than him and harder to hit. I think Shock is harder to hit than Raymond Ford. And Shock has good offense when he steps on the gas, but he tends not to too often sometimes. And that's why he got robbed against Conceição. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a hell of a fight. Thomas was... Oh, my man. Hey, Kenny. Love you. Is KP watching? I'm blessed. If you're watching, I'm blessed, brother. I'll read this to myself, KP. Oh, Thomas was trained by him. Okay, I think you wouldn't mind that, KP. Saying, you trained Thomas in the amateurs. Yeah, I was having fun with it, KP, about the conning and stuff. But all jokes aside, it takes a real professional fighter who knows how to handle himself in there and is savvy to navigate 10 rounds and make it to the finish line without really getting hurt, without really getting dropped or beaten up, and take care of yourself in that ring for 30 minutes against a young, hungry champion who's strong at the weight. So, I made jokes about it and everything, but all jokes aside, KP, credit to Thomas Matise for knowing how to handle himself in that ring, in that professional prize fight ring, and get through 10 rounds, get through the other side of it healthy and fine. So it takes skills and everything to do that. So, and he did frustrate the young bull at the end there, and gave him some things to have to think about that he can fix for the next fight to be that much better. So he still gave the young man some experience and some resistance. So that's good. And I love you, KP. Just happy to have you watching. So yeah, but Ray Ford against Shock, if he allows Shock to dictate that pace and make it just a pure boxing match, then Shock will get the better of that. Ray's got to impose his youth on Shock a little bit. Impose his youth. Not so much, you can't ask him to put pressure on Shock. I don't mean impose himself so much physically on the front foot all night. No, he's a boxer too. He's going to have to box with Shock. But if Shock is picking one right hand at a time, one jab to the body at a time, and Shock is very accurate doing that, you got to come back with 2 and 3 and 4. You got to out-hustle him a little bit, even if it's not landing. Even if his one punches at a time, they're touching you and they're landing more accurately punch for punch, you got to offset that by having the foot on the gas a little bit more. Taking a little bit more chances, a little bit more initiative, a little bit more enthusiasm and hunger and all that. And the judges will see it your way if you can do it effectively enough, So I don't know. That's a good one. That's a good one. But it looks like O'Shaquie Foster might wind up fighting Stephen Fulton instead. And I like that fight. I feel like, again, that fight comes down to Shock's. A lot of Shock's fights come down to his motor. Are you gonna play defense too much? Because when O'Shaquie Foster decides to play defense and not let his hands go a whole lot, he has one of the best defenses in boxing. Now, just like basically any other fighter, though, if he's going to step it up a little bit and let combinations go in the pocket, he becomes a little bit more available to hit. But even then, he has a good defense. For O'Shaquie Foster, a lot of his fights, whether it would be a fight with Navarrete, Raymond Ford, Stephen Fulton, how much is he going to let his hands go? And how much does his defense suffer because of it? I don't think it suffers that much. So that's why it's frustrating in some of his fights if he doesn't let his hands go. There's fights he's had like Rocky Hernandez. He's about to lose the belt in Mexico. Steps on the gas, stops him late. The same thing with Ivan Nova. He stepped on the gas, stopped him late. But he was giving away way too many rounds in some of those fights because he just doesn't. He's not busy. So it's on O'Shaquie Foster. Like, he could beat these guys or he could lose to them. And a lot of it is dependent on him, on how much he lets his hands go, or is he too defensive? So O'Shaquie Foster has one of the best defenses in boxing. Some fighters do the shoulder roll, and you're tempted to say you're doing it too much. You're not Floyd and stuff like that. Other guys do it very well. I think O'Shaquie Foster does it about as well as anybody in the game right now. His shoulder roll is on point. He's not easy to hit. So I don't know, but I want to give the edge to Raymond Ford against O'Shaquie Foster, and I give the edge to O'Shaquie against Fulton because Fulton's little. I didn't count him out, but I picked against Fulton. I gladly ate my words when he pretty much dominated Brandon Figueroa in their rematch. Gladly ate my words. I like Stephen Fulton, but I don't know. He would have to make me eat them again. O'Shaquie Foster is a big 130, and he has a lot of the speed and the IQ that Stephen Fulton has, but he's not a little 122-pounder. He's a strong, well-built 130-pounder, and he's hard to hit. He's got the size advantage along with matching a lot of the speed and the smarts of Fulton. Fulton's more decorated. Fulton's had higher highs in his career. I think he has a better resume. He's done it in 2 divisions, not just 1. He'd be trying to get to 3 and really start flirting with the Hall of Fame if he could get that done, but I would give the edge to Foster. He's a little bit too big for Fulton. Good big man beats a good smaller man. So, hey, what's up, Matthew? I love Matthew because if he thinks I say some bullshit, he'll tear me up in the comments. But when he feels like I get something right, he's very nice to me about it. So shout out to my man Matthew 2779. Said, Sean, you are the only legit analyst on there. I wouldn't say that. There's a lot of good analysts, but I do. We all want to be the best, right? So my goal would definitely be that. Thank you, KP. Hey, shout out to Faison Love. Shout out to Faison Love, KP. Definitely saw him in movies growing up. And Elf. I love him in Elf with Will Ferrell. So love you, KP. Gotta chop it up soon, brother. Maybe give you a call tomorrow, Sunday, and catch up, KP. Thanks for being in the chat. Lucius Tate, what's up? Luscious Lucius Tate says, and Luscious Lucius Harris, the backup point guard on the Nets back in the day. But Lucius Tate says, what? You were not there? I had a problem with my ID. I lost it at my son's baseball game last week. The replacement couldn't get here in time, so I wasn't going to make it on a plane to Atlantic City. I had the flight good to go, planned on going there all month. I had to. All right, so this isn't an excuse, but I'm telling you what happened. I had to take so my son's playing his softball game. Mom needs a break. I take my daughter, Sophia, who's only 13 months old. I take her to the grass field. For some reason, I have my ID, raw dog, in my pocket or something. It gets lost. Can't find it in the field. So no Atlantic City for your boy. But I do get to do a live round by round. So that is the consolation prize. And I don't have to spend time away from family and potentially lose money on a hotel for a couple nights in Atlantic City. But I got love for Atlantic City. They're showing the Chris Eubank, Conor Benn egg slap right now. I got Chris Eubank winning that fight in 2 weeks. If anyone's interested, I can offer a little analysis on that. But yeah, I used to go to Atlantic City in the 90s growing up in New York with my mom. We would escape there once or twice as a kid in the 90s, and I had a great time there. And then Atlantic City just went downhill. But shout out to Eddie Hearn for bringing a significant fight to Atlantic City. You know, when I think of this arena, the first fights that come to mind, yes, Mayweather Gotti, I'm a millennial, but George Foreman, Evander Holyfield comes to mind. Even watching fights like James Toney and Hasim Rahman come to mind. A great fight that happened here at the Boardwalk Hall was Kelly Pavlik and Jermaine Taylor's first fight. That was an amazing fight. One of my favorite, most memorable fights at Boardwalk Hall, Bernard Hopkins beating Antonio Tarver. I love Bernard Hopkins. Him and Eric Morales, my favorite fighters of my era, basically thus all time. And I was so nervous for Bernard Hopkins. He was a 3.5 to 1 underdog. The third fight with Roy Jones showed you that Tarver was slowing down in a hurry, like quickly, coming off that Rocky 6 filming where he had to go up to heavyweight. And it was funny, he had his karma. He called it all excuses from Roy Jones dropping from heavyweight to light heavyweight. Then he knocks out Roy Jones. No excuses. Got any excuses tonight? And Bernard, he had to drop from heavyweight to light heavyweight for that third Roy Jones fight and for the Bernard Hopkins fight. And you could see it took a toll on Tarver. It robbed him of the last years of his prime at light heavyweight. Took something out of him. And you could tell Tarver wanted to verbalize that after Hopkins surprised and dominated him for the light heavyweight title, but he knew he couldn't because when it was his time in the sun and Roy had to do that, Roy couldn't say nothing. He had to take the knockout like a man, so Tarver had to take his beating to Hopkins like a man. That was at that arena. I think Lennox Lewis knocked out Galata at that arena. I believe Arturo Gatti had the fight of the year in 1997, maybe on that undercard against Gabriel Ruelas in that arena, Boardwalk Hall. This is all off the top, and I'm trying to remember what else. I mean, Hopkins, they had the Night of Champions. Hasim, these are my memories as a young boxing fan. Hasim Rahman on the Don King pay-per-view had his head swell up like this to like a grapefruit when he got headbutt by Evander Holyfield. Bernard Hopkins beat the crap out of William Joppy that night and won. Had to pay William Joppy like $100,000 bet because Joppy said, I bet you don't knock me out. I bet I do go to the distance, and he did, and Hopkins paid. What else happened? Adrian Broner had the best performance of his entire career in 2012 after Hurricane Sandy. I was there. He did it to Antonio DeMarco. That was the best Broner we ever saw. We basically never saw that guy again. Even in his next fight at that same division against Gavin Reese, it wasn't as impressive as DeMarco. What else happened at Boardwalk Hall, chat? Trying to think. I'm missing some highlights. Oh, Gotti and Ward had their second and third fight. Second fight wasn't that good. Gotti dominated. Third fight, won fight of the year. Ward still got a knockdown against Gotti. So Gotti, Ward 3. Gotti against Gabriel Ruelas. Gotti, Mayweather. Gotti against Gianluca Bronco. Wasn't a great fight, but Gotti got to win the green belt. That was a really awesome moment if you're a Gotti fan. They stripped Costa Zoo. Floyd pointed that out later, but hey, they got the green belt on Gotti, and that's all that matters. And yeah, chat, anything else? What else did I miss? Did I miss any Boardwalk Hall all-time greats? Sam Sani says, have you ever boxed before? I never seen you. I had a little short-lived amateur career back in 2006, 2007, but no, not professionally. I am an armchair know-it-all in boxing. I'm a talking head. I'm an on-air talent. So, and I actually I've been covering in the field for 15 years. You've probably seen maybe some of my interviews over the years, but Sean, what happened to your De La Hoya Gotti and Mayweather Gotti video? Good question, Jameson Childress. I had to pull it because copyright. I would have got a copyright strike. I do not own the footage and the rights to old HBO fights or Top Rank fights, unfortunately, because we'd be doing Throwback Thursdays every Thursday watching old fights. But we're just killing time waiting for Ennis and Stanionis to fire up the main event. I want to thank almost all 300 people in the chat. Thank you guys for rocking with me tonight. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. All that good stuff. Shout out to my man Matt Borgeson supporting throughout the chat. Always appreciate it, brother. Yeah, Rockman had relax. It's only money. Said I looked okay in there with SP. Well, Sean was playing with me, so he made me look good, made me look feasible. So Gourmet Everything says, if I'm Eddie Hearn, I'm setting up a card featuring Boots and Shakur at Barclays while he still has them. It's a good idea. There's a little bit of murmurs on Twitter that maybe Boots is gonna, because there's a 3-fight deal with Eddie, right? So this would be the last fight of that 3-fight deal. There's some murmurs that maybe Ennis is not going to return to Matchroom. I don't know. I think it's in the air. Judging from Eddie Hearn, I'm not getting Eddie Hearn, Edgar Berlanga vibes, where heading into the last fight, it was very clear Berlanga was leaving and that Eddie Hearn was not going to be his promoter going forward for the near future. With Ennis, I sense from Hearn that it's up in the air. He doesn't know. And it's possible that, because Ennis, if Ennis wants undisputed, PBC has Barrios and Top Rank has Norman. And as broken by yours truly in the last couple weeks, talking to Bob Arum because he's had so many shows in Vegas the last 2 or 3 weeks. And, Bob told me, and I've corroborated it with some of my PBC sources, that Top Rank and PBC, those tensions are subsiding and nothing's concrete, but that things are getting friendlier between those two companies with the rise of Turki Al-Sheikh. They need each other, I believe, more than ever. And so if Top Rank and PBC are going to do business together, that would mean they control Barrios and Norman. PBC has Barrios, Top Rank has Norman. If Ennis is a free agent after this fight, and either PBC or Top Rank could make a good offer to him, he might leave Matchroom. This could be his last fight with Matchroom for now. But, right now we're seeing Eddie and Boots hug. I think it's up in the air. Ennis has to do what's best for Ennis. Hearn has to do what's best for Hearn. Ennis, I imagine, would want some guarantees from PBC or Top Rank if he were to look their way. He wants guarantees that he's going to get their champions and that the money will be right, because if it's not, it might be harder or not possible, unfortunately, because of this, these fucking politics in the sport. But he might stay with Hearn if he can earn with Hearn. If the money is nice and solid and guaranteed at a level he feels comfortable fight to fight, he might just stay. But he might have to leave Matchroom after this fight because, again, PBC and Top Rank, they control the other two champions. And Ennis would be favored. This is, in some people's eyes, this is the toughest test. Something about the Norman fight is sexy to me. Norman has power, a good personality. Norman gets hit. Derek Cuevas was touching him before he got rid of him in 3 rounds a couple weeks ago. But Norman is 24. He has upside. He hasn't been beaten like Barrios. He's younger by 6 years than Stanionis. And he showed an ability in the Cuevas fight to make adjustments. He got his jab, unlocked some openings for him in the second round after Cuevas was touching him up. And then he did an interesting adjustment. He knocked him out and hurt him multiple times with power jabs by throwing the right hand as a decoy shot over the top and then using a power jab, throwing the jab like a power shot and knocking Derek Cuevas out. So that shows a little bit of creativity, a little bit of IQ to go along with those country-strong, heavy hands he's got. And he's 24. He's got athleticism. I think Norman and Boots is going to become the fight at 147, for sure. And I know Norman already ducked that fight. He got hit, by far a career-high payday thrown his way and didn't take it for reasons. So I get it, but it was smart of Norman. Norman is 5 years younger than Ennis. He's not grown into his prime at the level Ennis has right now. So Norman is getting better fight to fight, growing in confidence and growing in experience. The path to Norman, the smart play for Norman is get Barrios at all costs. And here's the play. If PBC Top Rank are working together and they can bring Jaron Ennis into the fold, here's the play. You put Barrios and Norman in a unification. And if Ennis can get past this tonight, you put the winner of that fight, who I believe would be Norman, over Barrios. And now you have an American versus American, 2 legit hard punchers who have highlight reel knockouts. Norman, who's going to talk some shit and bring his audience from down south, the dirty south in Atlanta and those neighboring states. Ennis, who's becoming a star, bubbling star a little bit on the East Coast. Put them together, 4 belts on the line. Sign me up, man. That's the play in the welterweight division. But it's only the play if Ennis and Norman are actually those guys and not just me overhyping the undefeated American champions. I know we have an international audience. Some of the people overseas, there's Sean again, always with the American slant. I hear you. So it's on Ennis and Norman to really be a cut above the rest and be the last two men standing. And it's on boxing to do it in a timely fashion. Get these guys while they're in their 20s, all 4 belts on the line, and let's see it happen. That's how I want to see it happen. Sammy said, bruh, you need to interact with your subscribers. When you talk too much, people get bored. I don't know. I don't know. I think they like to hear me cook, but you're right. I got to interact with the chat too, but it's all... Look, people are tuning in, Sammy, for everything Jaron Ennis Stanionis. And so I think as I pontificate on Ennis and Undisputed and 147 and the potential big play in the division, I think it's all relevant. I don't know, chat. What do we think? But I hear you. You know, maybe I lose people talking too much. So here we go. Tail of the tape. Ennis is actually 27. I thought he was 28. He's 27. Ennis is the bigger guy, he's the harder puncher, and he's the better athlete. But Stanionis is fundamentally sound. And if Stanionis can expose Jaron Ennis, pull off this upset, it'll probably be a story of fundamentals over flash. Elbows tucked in, chin tucked down, high guard held up tight and high, every punch coming out compact and short, not too much fat on him. That's how Stanionis wins this fight. And if Jaron Ennis wins this fight, which is my pick by stoppage later in the fight, I think it's with creativity, adjusting to the pressure and the high guard of Stanionis and becoming very creative with his punch selection and being a very good body puncher to set up the punches up top for Jaron Ennis. That's how I think he wins. Again, my final... Oh, Jameson, I got your super chat. My bad, bro. And again, my final call for this fight. Ennis is going to get touched up. He's going to have to adjust. He's going to wear some shots. But he's going to have too much talent and sauce and size and firepower that Stanionis is going to get busted up as the fight progresses. And I think even Stanionis, who's as in shape as you could possibly be, I want to call him Stone-Ionis because he's made of stone. And tough as they come, mentally on point at 100%, all gas, no brakes. I love it. I just think he'll be taking a little bit too much from the extreme firepower and creativity of Ennis, and Ennis will stop him in a very entertaining fight. That's my take. Thank you for the super chat, says Jameson Childress. Startup money for the Zittel Patreon boxing channel. We need more Throwback Thursday content. No, thank you, brother. I would love to, man. It's just copyright. Copyright's a bitch. Copyright is a bitch. Sean Remo says, I'm going for Stanionis. Titus calls him Stank-Ionis. Oh, jeez. Like, Brewski said this is going to be good. Damn, I got to piss, chat. I hate to have to go take a piss right in the peak of it all. Let me call my wife. Oh, dang, she's with the kids. I need someone to take over for me while I take a piss. Let me see. Let me call Sammy. Jonathan Stagg. What's good, Johnny? Nope, wife's busy. All right, chat. What do we think, chat? Can you guys hold it down for me while I take a piss before main event time? Let's go. Here, I'll put on I'm gonna have to put on the HBO boxing theme to hold it, Sean. Angry Casual, you killing me. Hold on. Put user. All right, we got a second. We're good. Chat, tell everyone don't leave. HBO theme. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go, chat. Oh, let's go. Oh, Van smoking. You did me dirty. We're good. All right, let's go. National anthem being sung in the ring. Gotta be, man, I wonder how many people showed up. They're blacking out the audience. It's hard to tell how close to a sellout it is tonight. You imagine a lot of people from Philly came down to Jersey, to Atlantic City to see this. Angry Casual, not giving any breaks. He's not having it. All right, let me see. Super chat from my man Chris. Thank you, brother. Shoots the $10. Says best round by round in the game. Salute, broski. Thank you, man. Thank you. Jonathan, last time I was in your stream was 3 years ago. I can't recall. Good to see you again, Jonathan. Marshall Zay says they did the American anthem dirty. Did they? Did they? I can't hear. I don't want to get copyright from the zone. Hold on. Let me hear it for a second. Well, it's too late now. It's over. All right. So, unification, baby. Undefeated versus undefeated. Let's check out both fighters' aura. I talked about that earlier. Sometimes I feel like Jaron Ennis, he doesn't lack the highlight reel stuff at all. But sometimes with all this bubbling buzz around him in the boxing community, none as much as even me. Like I'm enamored by his talent, the hand speed, the power, the creativity, the athleticism. But sometimes I feel like he's lacked that it factor. That aura outside the ring. Remember Terrence Crawford last year in LA, pulled up on him, walked right by him at the weigh-in, nothing, no heat, no, I'm the man, you ducked me, nothing. And even this fight week, this is his moment. And at times, Stanionis is talking, he's on his phone doing something, and it's like, do you guys, when it was Floyd's moment, he's comparing this is my Mayweather Gotti. Do you guys remember what Floyd Mayweather was like on fight week for Mayweather Gotti? We didn't even have social media back then, and it was making waves, the things he was saying in the lead up to that fight. So that's what I mean. And I said, Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, they had their own it factor. It wasn't to the degree of Sugar Ray Leonard or Oscar De La Hoya or Floyd, but they had it. And so anyways, here we go. Here comes Stanionis to the ring. Humble guy. Good guy, coming to the ring, got a good sweat worked up. Come all the way from Lithuania to be their first world champion in professional boxing. A wild card product since he's come to the Los Angeles area. Says he loves Los Angeles, loves living in America. And, let's call him Stanionis because the man is made of stone. And again, great high guard, tucks his chin, sharp hand speed, underrated hand speed by Stanionis. Doesn't do a whole lot of counter punching. Doesn't fight off the back foot a whole lot, but has a very good jab. Throws everything sharp and compact. And I really think the most underrated part to his game is his hand speed. I think he's very sharp. Think kind of like, Brian Castano in that first Charlo fight. Once he gets in his range, his hand speed's going to surprise you, and he might be quicker than the guy like Charlo, like Ennis, who's more explosive and a greater athlete. But those sharp, quick, compact punches, when he gets in close, he's the one who can outpunch you 2 or 3 to 1. So that might be the case with Stanionis. Surprise boots with that hand speed once he gets in close. But here comes Jaron Ennis now. Smiling to the ring, daps up Raymond Ford. And the aura is the aura. It's not superstar glow coming into the ring with like the most famous rapper and the best chain, and it's also not super determined, super locked in, ready to just catch a body like he says. It's just, Jaron's just smiling and making his way to the ring, dapping up Zakeem Moses and Raymond Ford. Let's see if that light turns on a little bit the closer he gets to the ring. Got a decent sweat worked up, not as much of a sweat as Stanionis had worked up. So, and that's the thing. Jaron Ennis, I feel like if he lives up to his ceiling, he's a Vince Carter. He's a Tracy McGrady. And Terrence Crawford would be Kobe Bryant. Actually a better fighter, actually a better player, but those two, great talents in their own right. maybe even more talented than Kobe Bryant, and even have at times better, as just as good, if not a better highlight reel than Kobe Bryant. I feel like that's Jaron Ennis's real ceiling. You know, he could be a tantalizing talent that jumps off the screen and backs it up with real production, with real accomplishments. But then I feel like his floor is he's J.R. Smith. He's really athletic with a really good handle, can shoot from 35 feet, but is inefficient and is sometimes more sizzle than steak. So I think that's the floor for Jaron Ennis, and I think the ceiling is like Sean Kemp, Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady. Okay, Karl Malone was better than Sean Kemp and Charles Barkley, but highlight for highlight, and there's a lot of real substance to back up those highlights too. It's not just highlights. Highlight for highlight, he's the more spectacular guy, and that's what I love about Boots Ennis. Is that amazing, talent that could produce those moments. So that can produce the slow motion right hand against Villa with the quick uppercut right behind it. That's the sauce. And there's great fighters who don't even have the sauce. And the sauce is the sauce. I like it. It's creativity. It's talent. It's athleticism. And that's what I love about what Jaron Ennis brings to the table. But if there's not enough substance to back that up, then a guy like Stanionis, who lacks all that flash but has fundamentals in spades and has character in spades, he'll expose in the gyms around Vegas. Trainers tell me you will get exposed in this sport if you are a bag of tricks without the fundamentals as the foundation to back it up. So that's what we're here to find out with Stanionis. Can he, with his fundamentals, throwing everything sharp and compact with his underrated hand speed and his educated pressure behind his jab, can he expose that Jaron Ennis is more of just a bag of fun tricks and not a true great elite fighter? Or can Ennis, show the special effects but have the jab, have the defensive responsibility, have the focus to match all that talent and all that superlative, talented stuff and get the job done, perhaps even in spectacular fashion? I'm just looking forward to seeing what we get. Got a text from my man Sean. Keep it between us. So, don't stand in front of Boots, says no dice. Yeah, I think over the long haul, that high guard is just going to be too basic against the creativity of Ennis. And again, I think the body punching of Ennis is going to be important in this fight too. Ennis can really dig to the body. And if he starts to find the right placement around the elbows of Stanionis, he can start cooking Stanionis. So again, my pick, Ennis by stoppage. I think he gets hit enough that people will still point out, oh, well, the 54s, if they hit him like that, his defense still isn't good enough, but I think he's going to get the stoppage. But I'm leaning more towards he has the dominant performance than I am the upset. But I don't know. Again, the aura is missing a little bit. That it factor. It doesn't feel like you're quite in the presence of a superstar like that. So, but we'll see. It looks like he's got a pretty healthy audience at the Boardwalk Hall. Stanionis looks ready to fight. Stanionis has a great sweat built up. And Ennis took his time coming to the ring. So we'll see. CO says, yo, Sean, I'm on your ass. You're the best at the game. Come up with a game plan. Jab. If Ennis is sharp with his jab out of both stances, he can make the fight easy. And if he's defensively responsible and doesn't try to be too extra on defense, sometimes the simple move is the move he needs to make. Bam Rodriguez had a performance recently, his last fight, where he didn't even need to bring out the sauce that much. He just stayed behind his jab and placed his shots beautifully to the body. So I think for Ennis, the jab is the most important thing in this fight. If he's not being consistent with the jab and busting through the high guard with that jab and placing it to the body, if Ennis gets his jab going, he can make the fight so much easier and really pick apart Stanionis. Stanionis is going to use his jab too, but you jab with the jabber. And if Ennis jabs with the jabber, matches and wins the battle of the jab, everything else can fall into place behind that. if he doesn't win the battle of the jab or he doesn't use his jab consistently enough, he makes the fight that much harder on himself. So it's funny, like, that's the first thing we always want to say sitting on the couch, right? The jab. But it's true. The jab is the jab. So and Ennis has an excellent jab. Remember Andre Ward, when he was with David Benavidez, told him this right here, the lead hand, that's what will take you to the highest level. If you just want to come in and punch with both hands, you'll be really good. But if you want to be all-time great, he said this is the hand, the lead hand. Same thing for Ennis, whether it's southpaw or orthodox. Use that jab and use it to the body. Stab to the body, stab to the head, double it up when you need to, and turn them. Jab up top, jab to the body, place it to the body, and everything will come off that. It's easy to say. It's easy to say from where I'm sitting, but that's what he's got to do. So, Ennis 33-0, 29 knockouts. Again, doesn't have a sweat built up as good as Stanionis. Gets to his knees, looks at the camera, looks very relaxed, but you hope he's not dry heading into round one or even slightly lackadaisical or overconfident. But this is a dude with the talent to beat anybody. To beat anybody from 47 to 54, this guy has the talent to put together some type of game plan, some arraignment of skills on a given night to beat anybody. He's got all the talent in the world. I think just about as talented as any fighter in terms of just gifts. But we got to see him put it together against a legit guy in Stanionis. So, Sammy said, Sean, you boxed for a few weeks, so please don't break down the fight. You are not Teddy Atlas. Well, what else what do you want me to do? Just sit here and not talk about the fight, Sammy? I got to break it down. I've broken down fights pretty good in my day. So here we go. Round one set to start. All right, let's see what we get. 400 people in here. Hit the like. All right, here we go. Round one set to start. Harvey Doc, the infamous Harvey Doc these days a little bit. And here we go. Oh, no, that's not Harvey Doc. My mistake. Different referee. All right, Ennis, back touching the ropes early. Starts off orthodox. Moves over to his left. Works his jab to start. Doubling it up, tripling it up. Not a shotgun jab yet, but just using that jab to keep Stanionis preoccupied on the outside. Stanionis lets go of his first jab. Good side steps to the right by Stanionis. Good jab to the body by Boots. Boots starting with the jab. That's what we just talked about. And even when it's not landing, Stanionis is catching it on the high guard. Just stay busy with it. Stanionis comes in with his first jab. Back comes Boots, doubling and tripling it up, sticking it to the body here and there. But Stanionis was accurate with that first jab. And Stanionis throwing the jab with more conviction. But right now, Boots moving laterally, right to left to right, and stabbing with the jab to the body. Very important there is that jab to the body for Ennis tonight. Ennis shoots his first right hand over the top, and Stanionis getting low. Stanionis comes with a lead left hook, and Ennis catches it, but then a left hook to the body gets in for Stanionis, and Ennis has to tie up there. Back on the jab is Ennis, sticking it to the body. Right uppercut for Ennis. Beautiful right uppercut. Stanionis caught it a little bit, but it was a dangerous shot that almost split the guard. And it might have split the guard a little bit. Ennis uses his hands to get off to the right now. Using his hands on Stanionis just to push off a little bit. A nice right hand to the body by Boots off a jab up top. Yep, and Boots just by using his jab, making the fight easy. How's that sound, Sammy? Oh, good left hook, though, by Stanionis. Boots pulling out with his chin up there. Getting his jab blocked and the sweeping right hand. Stanionis blocking the jab. Applying pressure, makes Boots turn southpaw. And he is speeding Boots up a little bit. Straight right hand to the body, lands for Stanionis, and he closes the distance. Stanionis catching, and Boots not with a lot of steam on his punches right now. He's not sitting down on him, and Stanionis lands a hard jab. And when Stanionis is letting the occasional punch go, he's punching with conviction. And Boots isn't sitting down on his shots in round one, but he's getting off first constantly and keeping Stanionis on the end of the jab. But But Stanionis steps inside, gets to Boots' body a little bit. Boots runs his hands on the inside, but ties up in a little, has to tie up Stanionis. Doesn't want to punch on the inside with the compact punches of Stanionis. Boots outworking Stanionis right now behind the jab, but not landing a lot. A lot of this being caught on the gloves by Stanionis. Boots not quite settled in yet. A lot of this landing on the high guard. He's on his way to winning this first round with about 10 seconds left. Stanionis handcuffed at long range a little bit by that busy jab of Ennis out of both stances. Now Ennis threatens the counter, shoots a quick left uppercut, right hook. Good combination near the end of the bell by Ennis. And he steps into that southpaw jab a little bit. Good last 10 seconds, 5 seconds there by Ennis. Actually found the mark, running those quick hand combinations real quick. Ennis, though, not sitting down on punches just yet. And just keeping Stanionis on the end of his jab. Tied Stanionis up a couple times when Stanionis got in close. But Stanionis throwing every shot with conviction. Boots taking something off early on just to get the numbers up. Just to get that jab out there. Double, tripling it up. Head, body, both stances. But not a jab yet being thrown where it's popping Stanionis' head up out of the high guard. A lot of it was being caught, but definitely an Ennis round, 10-9. Yeah, 10-9 Boots. Good body shot by Boots. And that's what we talked about heading into the fight. The jab is going to be key, and the body work of Boots will be key. A left hook did get in on Boots. He tried to roll the shot a little bit, but it hit him on the side of the head. Boots pulls straight out with that chin up sometimes. Back here in round 2, Boots is a southpaw. Shooting the jab to start. Stanionis catching it on the high guard. Stanionis catching the southpaw jab on the high guard. Staying in the center of the ring. Catches the right hook on the high guard. Straight left hand by Ennis. But Ennis not punching with that electric power just yet right now. He's taking something off the power just to be quick and throw shots and get off first. Stanionis blocking a lot of these shots and applying good pressure. Good jab by Stanionis. Right hook by Boots, blocked again by Stanionis. Good left uppercut to the body by Boots. Steps in with a right hook and a right uppercut. Stanionis covers it up, but it's the body for Boots early. The jab will let him know where Stanionis is at all times, and then he's got to work the body to bring those hands down. Good jab by Stanionis. Boots tries to counter with a left hand on the body, but Stanionis keeps the elbows in and catches it. Straight left hand to the body by Boots. Right hook, left hand up top by Boots. Boots getting off first at will. But Stanionis very defensively sound. 2 hard right hands to the body by Stanionis in the clinch. And Jaron tying up in the clinch and Stanionis getting in. 2 good body shots with the right hand. Boots getting off first, but Stanionis catching the jab and coming back with his jab. Boots just peppering Stanionis a little bit with the lead hand. But not super effective with it just yet. Straight left hand by Boots on the outside. Staying in control on the outside range. Double jab, triple jab by Boots. Straight left hand to the body. Good body shot. Left uppercut, sweeping left hand. Finally, Stanionis answers with a left hook, and Boots rolls the shot. But again, with that chin exposed, good left uppercut to the body by Boots, and that's the sauce. Left uppercut up top by Boots, and here comes the sauce. Here comes the fun stuff. Boots with little step back counters and little pivoting off with the southpaw stance left uppercut counters. Now he switches back orthodox, back on his jab. And Boots already catching a rhythm. And Stanionis, good jab by Stanionis, but Boots double, triple the jab. Keeping Stanionis on the outside. Boots moves left to right, right to left. Beautiful left hook to the body by Boots in the orthodox stance. So sometimes it was the left uppercut to the body out of the southpaw stance. This time it's the left hook to the body out of the orthodox stance. And this is the dazzling stuff that I love to watch from Jaron Ennis that just other fighters don't have in their bag. And it's flashy and it's fun to watch. And it takes a level of, athleticism and speed to pull off. Good jab by Stanionis out of the high guard. But Jaron seems very comfortable now in the second round. He feels like he can create whatever he wants in there. Good jab, lead right hand. Jaron fighting with the hands at the waist, dominating the center of the ring. Stanionis can't press him to the ropes. The jab is effective enough to hold Stanionis in the center of the ring and allow the creativity of Jaron Ennis to flourish. That was very pretty stuff by Jaron Ennis. Didn't necessarily land everything, but he's already starting to land and land hard. And I talked about him taking something off the power. he put some oomph on those left hands out of both stances that round to the body. That's where it is for Ennis. And eventually it did set up that left uppercut up top. The headshots are going to come, but it has to come off the jab and the body. See, Sammy, you were skeptical of the game plan. I gave a great game plan. Boots is sticking to the game plan. You guys didn't know this, but Bozy is actually wearing his iPod, I'm old. He's wearing his AirPods and listening to me right before the fight. Good catch and shoot left hook by Stanionis, but Ennis rolling a lot of the steam off the shot, but he does it with his chin exposed. Step back, left uppercut by Jaron Ennis. Beautiful shot. Step back, boom, walking him into it. Ennis starts orthodox, doubles up the jab, sticks it to the body. The jab is making the fight much easier for Ennis. It double, triple jab by Ennis. Sweeping right hand, misses the mark. Stanionis gets underneath it, but Stanionis right now outgunned from the outside and can't get his jab going. The jab of, oh good, there he gets his jab. He knocks Ennis's head up, but Ennis is doubling and tripling up the jab. He's varying up the jab more, and Stanionis is throwing the same type of jab over and over again. Great trainers will tell you different jabs to throw. 2 body shots by Ennis, and back comes Stanionis with a right hand, but Ennis punctuates the exchange with a left hook up top. And that's what Ennis can do. He can punctuate exchanges. Ennis, both hands down, right uppercut, kind of, taunts a little bit, shoots the right uppercut, turns off to his right in the southpaw stance with a 3-punch combo, steps over to his left. Stanionis blocks the right hook. Just a minute into the 3rd round, and Ennis already doing a lot of different fun things, but Stanionis is very defensively responsible. Good right hand by Stanionis. He got Boots' back to touch the ropes, and he sweeped the right hand. Beautiful right hand by Stanionis. Best punch of the fight for him. Straight right hand touches Boots now by Stanionis. Stanionis and Boots goes to the canvas, getting a little bit sloppy on the inside, trying to clinch Stanionis. Now Stanionis getting his offense going, lands his jab, catches the left uppercut by Boots. Stanionis finding his way into the fight right now. Stanionis getting a little bit busier with his upper body. 2 jabs by Stanionis. Left uppercut blocked. Boots comes back with a 2-piece, 3-piece by Boots, but Stanionis catching and staying in front of Boots. Catching the straight left hand, grinning a little bit. Boots trying to shoot over the top with a sweeping left hand off the jab, but back comes Stanionis with a jab to the body. Stanionis left hook to the body. Boots gets underneath it. Boots has to tie up in the center of the ring. There's some pressure by Stanionis, working his right hand to the body in the clinch. Stanionis backs Boots into the ropes. Gets physical with him. Oh, good jab lands by Stanionis again. And another jab lands for Stanionis. And when Stanionis lands his jab, it pops up the head of Ennis because Ennis' chin is exposed. Some of this inside work by Stanionis getting caught. Good left uppercut to the body by Boots, but he gets countered with a right hand. But he comes back with a left hand and hurts Stanionis. Right hook to the body hurts Stanionis. Short left hook to the body by Boots. And Stanionis has to tie up. Boots taking chances and gambling. Got caught with a shot, but he punctuates the exchanges like we talked about. He has the creativity to have the last word when both guys are going to open up. Boots taunting. Lets both hands out. Eats a jab that knocks his head up. When Boots gets caught, he gets caught with his chin exposed and he gets his head knocked up. But there's usually something coming behind it after you do that. You might land your jab or your right hand, but then here comes that withering body shot or that counter looping shot over the top, and it's going to hurt. So very exciting round down the stretch. 3-0 Ennis, but Stanionis had his best round so far. Found him with the right hand, found him with the jab, and began to make it more the kind of fight that he needs to make it, more of a war. There's that right hand landing on the slow-mo for Stanionis. So Tay-Day gave that to Stanionis. Marco with Dom gave that to Stanionis. Some of the fans in the chat, man, giving it to Stanionis. I could see it. But I thought Boots hurt him in the last minute when they exchanged. Let's see it. Short right hand, got Boots, but he came back with a left hand out of the southpaw stance, and it made Stanionis stagger back. So that's a Boots round. I think he buzzed Stanionis. Here's the 4th round. Boots switching, staying southpaw now. Working that up jab from the hip. Boots Fighting with his hands loose, not bringing him back tight. Left uppercut to the body by Boots. Beautiful shot off the jab. Boots stepping left, stepping right, getting cute. Picks his hands up a little bit here. Good jab lands for Stanionis. But Boots in control of the fight. Good left hand to the body by Boots, and it sets up a left hand up top. What torque Boots gets on these shots, man. These uppercuts and these withering, sweeping body shots and sweeping left hands. Boots not doing a whole lot with the straight line shots tonight outside of the jab. He's using the jab and then withering, whipping shots, whether it's hooks, sweeping around the guard or to the body. And I really love Boots to the body. I think he's a withering body puncher. There's the left uppercut. He likes to headhunt and find that uppercut. Big right hook by Boots. Boots is starting to punch with real Boots getting low and saucy. Styling on Stanionis in the fourth. Straight left hand to the body. Sets up a right hook up top. That's target practice stuff. Stanionis right hand to the body. But Stanionis is starting to get busted up. And that high guard is starting to get penetrated by the creativity of Ennis. Ennis slipping off shots now. Broke a good sweat. In a good rhythm. Feeling very good and confident there. Straight right hand lands for Stanionis. That's just Boots Ennis, man. He's going to get touched. He is what he is at 28. But there's a lot of sauce coming back your way after you touch him. And the blood is coming from Stanionis' nose. Boots covering up. Sweeps the left hand of the body back on his jab. Boots slowing down the pace a little bit. Looking to walk Stanionis into something big. Boots switches back orthodox. Lead hand low. Pumps the jab. Stanionis jabs with him. They trade jabs 2 or 3 times. Boots back on the jab. Smile. Nice jab to the body by Boots off the double jab. Touches up top and sticks it to the body beautifully. Ennis a little bit off with the uppercut. Steps to his right. His left hands down. And there comes the left uppercut. And he looks outside of the ring. Double jab by Boots to the body. Boots lets one right hand out. Comes back. Sweeps the right hand around the guard. He's doing all kinds of poses and taunts. A little bit of a much way better version of Ben Whitaker. Boots clowning in the ropes. Makes Stanionis missing the ropes. And Stanionis doesn't like that disrespect. Stanionis trying to counter the jab over the top of the right hand, but Boots gets low and clinches him. Stanionis getting rough with Boots in the clinch, and there's fighters better than Stanionis, more versatile and talented than Stanionis, looking at this and saying, Boots couldn't do this stylish shit to me. He couldn't be doing all this posing and taunting and hands low and dancing back to the corner, but he styled on Stanionis, 4 rounds to nothing. And I feel like at some point you're gonna see Boots come and explode a few times. But what's fun to watch about him is he still leaves his chin in precarious positions. So you can't count Stanionis out from landing a big shot at some point and hurting Ennis, because Ennis takes chances, has some flaws defensively, runs red lights with all his talent. But, again, he usually finds a way to punctuate the conversation. Even when you tag him, something's coming back. So, fun to watch. I would like to see him be a little less Ben Whitaker-ish, though, and turn it up. Okay, you're styling on him, then keep putting those combinations together. Keep hurting that body. Keep put it together. Don't play with your food. So, back on the jab is Ennis in the orthodox stance to start round 5. Stanionis' face started to bust up a little bit there from the clean, effective punches of Ennis. Ennis doubling the jab, stepping over to his left. Stanionis, high guard, not using his jab. Tries to feint, gets Ennis near the ropes, but Ennis steps over to his left, sweeps the right hand, gets it partially landing on that high guard. Back to the body with the jab, back up top with the jab. Ennis is back near the ropes, but he moves off to his right. Still near the ropes. And Stanionis has got to find some sequences here with Ennis along the ropes. Ennis in the corner. 2 left hooks to the body by Stanionis. And Ennis ties him up. Stanionis working in the clinch as much as he can with his free hand. And so despite Boots throwing 300 punches to 117 for Stanionis, he's only outlanded Stanionis by 10 punches. So Stanionis, with that defensive responsibility, has blocked a lot of Ennis' punches. Ennis now sweeps a right hand in between Stanionis' left hook, Got Stanionis with that. Stanionis, good left hook to the body by Stanionis. Ennis not dominating this round. Good double jab by Ennis. Stanionis comes back with his jab and knocks his head up. Good right uppercut by Ennis. And a sweeping, chopping right hand by Ennis right after that right uppercut. It's a beautiful trajectory on that chopping right hand. Ennis back in the southpaw stance, trying to walk him into that left uppercut, but Stanionis blocking it, kind of like Pitbull Cruz against Gervonta Davis swinging that left uppercut, catching it. Minute left, good jab by Stanionis. Stanionis still touching boots here in this 5th round. Still touching Ennis with some shots. Stanionis feinting a little bit more, moving his upper body a little bit more. Ennis stays behind the jab, moves right to left to right. Stanionis falls short on the chest with a right hand, but jab again lands for Stanionis. Pops Boots' his head up. Stanionis trying to punch with Boots, but getting that nose busted up. Left uppercut got in, and Boots follows it up with a combination. Stanionis' back is on the ropes. Left uppercut, blood coming from the nose. Big right hand lands for Stanionis, but Boots walks through it and go left uppercuts. Right hook to the body by Boots. And the blood is flowing for Stanionis. Stanionis lets go of some left hooks, but his face is busting up. Boots is having his way in there. Stanionis, right hand falling on the chest. Left hook misses big time, and Boots looks at the crowd to show off, making him miss the left hook and hit nothing but air. Left uppercut is a problem for Jaron Ennis. He can just throw it so quick and at an angle that, man, it's a problem. And Stanionis' nose is really busting up from that left uppercut of Jaron Ennis. That left uppercut is busting his nose up. Being handcuffed on the outside, Boots doesn't forget his jab out of both stances, takes something off of it just to keep him preoccupied, stabs it to the body here and there. And then he's creative with the trajectory on his punches off the jab. You don't know if it's going to go to the body or the head. He'll throw the uppercut to the body or the head. He'll sweep the shots, and he hits hard, hand speed, and balls. He's not necessarily too concerned about getting hit. And when you're worried about getting hit, that limits your offense, that limits your creativity. Big straight right hand by Stanionis in the slow-mo, and Ennis just ate it. Ennis has shown at welterweight he has a good chin, but it's not his chin that worries me. It's the fact that it's so exposed. You could have a good chin and get knocked out if your chin isn't tucked. And Boots doesn't tuck his chin, but it doesn't matter tonight, so far anyways. So, here we go. Ennis, 6th round, looks like he's on his way to a stoppage. And he made this fight, there's a fight breaking out in the audience, it looks like, but he's made this fight so much easier on himself with the jab. Not looking to bust him up and knock his head up with it, but just be busy with it, be educated with it, dictate with it, be first with it, create off of it, occupy him with it. Stanionis eats a right hook counter, stepping inside, getting Boots near the ropes. Left uppercut by Boots. And Boots is splitting the high guard with that left uppercut more and more as the fight has went on. Left uppercut again. Ennis wants that left uppercut. I'd like to see him mix in the right hook a little bit more, up top into the body. That 4-3 and that 3-4 is a beloved combination by a lot of fighters. 4-3 or 3-4. And you just want to see that 3 mixed in with that 4 a little bit more for Ennis. That backhand uppercut, mix in the hook before or after it. But everything's flowing. Now he's been much harder to hit for Stanionis. Even though Stanionis gets in, right now he just made Stanionis miss 4 or 5 shots clean. He's in a rhythm now. He's broke that sweat. And so the rhythm with the upper body movement and everything is more on point. Stanionis is hitting shoulders, hitting the chest more now, hitting the air. Still finding Ennis at times because Ennis is there. Ennis doesn't tuck his chin and he takes chances. But as Ennis, sometimes in these fights, he gets harder to hit because of that rhythm he catches. He starts to have good anticipation and reflexes to what you got coming at him. Right there, he just made, and his defense is flashy once it gets on point. Just like his offense, he won't just make you miss. He'll make you miss and, make it look stylish. So, good jab by Ennis. Ennis trying to chop behind that jab with a sweeping shot. He's handcuffing Stanionis. Stanionis left hook block, but lands the jab. Stanionis gets in close. Good left hook to the body by Stanionis. Back comes Boots with a left uppercut inside, though. Back with a left hook to the body in the orthodox stance. 2 body shots by Boots. Stanionis not liking the body shots. Right uppercut by Boots. Left uppercuts by Boots. Left hooks. Down goes Stanionis. There's only so much even a tough fighter like him can take when it's coming to the body consistently. That will break down any man, no matter how good a shape he's in or how tough he is. And the end looks like it's near. Round 6. Stanionis is up. 15 seconds left. Stanionis lands a right hand. But Stanionis punching with Boots. But Boots' chin can hold up to whatever Stanionis is dishing out when it does land. Boots squares up. Goes back to orthodox. Boots catches. Oh, right hand lands for Stanionis, but a left hook to the body lands for Boots. And that does it for round 6. Boots is on his way to a stoppage, but Stanionis, no punk, man. He's going to take as much as he can give. It looks like we're going to head to a referee or a corner stoppage because Stanionis is going to keep getting up if he gets dropped, and that's when it's time for the ref or the corner to save him from himself. But it's been good stuff, man. It's been very good stuff by Jaron Ennis. You know, I'm wishing I would have just stuck with my initial pick on the Porter way when I said this is the one that turns everyone into believers. But I think still he shows enough vulnerabilities that lets naysayers, or not even naysayers, just objective people say, oh, well, against Virgil Ortiz, he's not going to be able to do all that shit and get away with it. But, oh, that's it. They stopped the fight. So, Jaron Ennis backs up his Mayweather-Gotti talk. Floyd Mayweather had a 6th-round TKO where Gotti could not answer the bell. I gotta tweet that. Hold on. I gotta tweet that, chat. Hold up. I gotta tweet that. So it's a 6th-round stoppage for Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis makes good on his Atlantic City Mayweather Gotti promise. He stops Stanionis, who can't come out for the 6th round. 6th round, just like Gotti couldn't against Mayweather. He puts together highlight reel moments on offense, defense, like Mayweather. Job well done. Boxing. Boom. There you go, chat. All right. So he gets that weak stoppage. No. Stanionis needs to live to fight another day. He's a good welterweight. He got Jaron Ennis with a chip on his shoulder. Jaron, who's a bigger man, who's going to have power that carries the 54. Stanionis has only fought once in a couple years. You know, he still has a future in this sport at welterweight, especially when Ennis moves up to 54 inevitably. He had enough. There's no point. He's not going to turn the fight around. He caught Ennis with some hard right hands and some left hooks to the head and the body. It didn't phase Ennis. The more a man breaks you down to your body, the more steam and snap you're losing out of your power and punches. So it was only going to get worse for Ennis, or for Stanionis. Ennis was already fighting super downhill. It was a wrap. And I think it was a good stoppage, and it preserved Stanionis to still be at his best moving forward and not take too much punishment in this fight. Good stoppage. Great performance by Ennis. And, man, I like to do my instant reactions right after the fight, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do it right here and then record it and put it on the channel later tonight. So here it goes. Hey, what's up, guys? Just bear with me, chat. Hey, I'll do it in a minute. Let me read some comments first. Dwayne Wade Boots. Oh, I like that. That was, I think he's Vince Carter. Tracy McGrady. I think there's incredible talent that jumps off the screen when you watch them in their prime. There's Tim, Usyk is Tim Duncan, and Crawford's Kobe Bryant, and Inoue is LeBron James. But Jaron is Vince Carter. He's prime Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady. His highlight reels might actually be even sexier than theirs, or just as sexy. And although at the highest level of competition, there remains that question. how much of it is sizzle and how much of it is steak at the highest of the high levels. He just proved at this level, the world championship level, against another undefeated world champion, it checks out. It holds up. Does it hold up at the pound for pound level? Could he have done some of those things against Terrence Crawford? I don't know. I don't know about all that. Maybe. We never got to find out. That's why I really wanted to see that fight before Crawford left welterweight. That's why I'm not that excited about Canelo Crawford, because Canelo should have fought Benavidez, defended the undisputed title against him, and Crawford should defend the undisputed title against Boots. That's what creates new life and new blood in the sport, is giving opportunities to the next hungry, super talented fighters up above. Maybe you beat them, cement your legacy that much further, or maybe they beat you and they're 8 to 10 years younger, 5, 6 years younger, and they can actually carry the sport forward while you're getting old. We didn't get to see that. But some people saying not impressed at all. Lucius Tate says Boots is the new Roy Jones. I don't think he's that special like Roy Jones, but I've compared him to Roy, and Sean's compared him to Roy because they do things fundamentally not sound. Their chin's exposed. They leave their hands loosey-goose. But there's all that speed and power and talent and creativity and confidence that good luck beating him. Good luck beating him despite those flaws you see on tape. Good luck getting in the ring and physically doing it, because all that talent, it outshines the chinks in the armor by far. So, Marco with Dom says amazing performance by Boots. Master G says, Sean, you have great breakdowns. Keep it going. Hey, my game plan worked before the fight. Someone asked, what should be the game plan for Boots? I said, the jab. And what was so mature about Jaron Ennis tonight with the jab was you don't have to. Some people want that gratification of landing it and knocking the guy's head up, right? And if they don't get that gratification, if the other guy's blocking it, if you're having to take something off of it and range find with it and paw with it and just be busy, you can not have the faith and the confidence and the conviction in it. So now you start looking for the lead right hand. Now you start looking to counterpunch. You stop being first, right? But Lomachenko, a big reason why, let me ban the spammers. A big reason why Teofimo beat Lomachenko was because of his busy jab. It didn't matter that Loma a majority of the time was catching it and catching it and catching it and catching it. It doesn't matter. Still stab to the body with it occasionally, double it up, triple it up, keep him preoccupied. Don't let him just come through the front door. And Ennis was very mature about that because he's not getting the gratification of just popping his head up with every jab. Stanionis was the guy landing the head popping up stiff jab when he would throw it and land it far and few between, when he wasn't being handcuffed by the jab of Ennis. So for Ennis to just keep doubling it up and tripling it up, doesn't matter what stance he's in, and just take something off of it, doesn't matter, just keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. That was mature of him because it allowed him to set up the highlight reel knockout, the big stuff. And if he was impatient and didn't have the IQ and the maturity and the conditioning to stay busy and convicted with the jab and keep giving angles off of it with pivots and lateral movement, then Stanionis would have had a much more winnable fight. He would have been able to just walk forward, not have to worry about slipping 2 or 3 or 4 jabs and keeping his elbows in tight so that to avoid that stab jab and just come right in. But that jab made the fight so much easier for Ennis, and so he dominates and wins by knockout. That's why the jab is so important. Boxing said, Sean, do the Teddy Atlas. He's using the jab. He's using the jab as a southpaw. He's using the jab as orthodox. But what he's doing is just setting things up, bang! And he's making sure to invest in the body. Put water in that basement. You know, Ennis could be a flashy guy like Roy Jones. He wants to knock you out. He wants the big left uppercut. He wants to switch and do everything and everything else. But use the jab. Use the jab and don't forget about the body. Stanionis is going to tuck his chin and keep his hands up high. Put water in that basement. Invest in the body. And you know what, Joe? Whoever he's doing the breakdown with, he looks over him. And you know what? He might just have his Mayweather Gotti. He might have his stoppage. I think he will. If you're asking me for my bet, Jaron boots Ennis by stoppage. So there you go. So yeah. I like Ennis. I like Ennis a lot. You know, there's still questions about steak versus sizzle, but I like him. He's creative. He's dynamic. It's entertaining. He takes chances. Don't you want that in a fighter? we could talk about the defensive lapses. Oh, his head got popped up here and there. But then he's boring if he's not taking those chances, if he doesn't have those vulnerabilities that still like you believe the other guy's got a shot, even when he's outgunned. So there you go. All right. Let me do my... Oh, yeah, I got a super chat I got to get to from earlier. Dr. Death, thank you for the super chat, brother. Says, Brian Norman next. Mario Barrios, he could be undisputed by March 26th. He could and he should. Boxing rarely tends to move in an orderly fashion. But here's what has to happen. Here's the play. I think Norman and Barrios should fight in the next 5 months or so. I think Top Rank and PBC, they need each other right now more than ever with Turkey buying up everything. I think they should collaborate, put on Fundora versus Zayas, put on Norman versus Barrios. And, especially this makes sense if PBC feels like they can bring Ennis back into the fold. Because if Ennis is going to return, we don't know. Ennis might just go back to Eddie Hearn and keep it pushing. But we don't know. This was the last of his 3 fights with Eddie Hearn. We haven't heard any commitments from one way or the other. It feels, from me, watching from afar, it just feels up in the air. Nothing's in stone. He could return to Matchroom. He could leave. If he's going to leave and get back with PBC, then PBC shouldn't worry about potentially sacrificing Barrios to Norman because they'll have Ennis. So then, if Norman wins, and I believe Norman would beat Barrios, I think if you got Barrios having a draw with Abel Ramos, then you got to project Norman to beat him, in my opinion. So I think then you could then Top Rank and PBC can make an undisputed welterweight championship fight. If he's not going to sign with PBC or Top Rank, then obviously Eddie Hearn and him got to just do everything in their power to get whatever next belt there is to get, whether it's Barrios or Norman. But if Ennis could go back to PBC, and Top Rank and PBC are working with each other now more than ever, hopefully they will, we'll see, then they can set up an undisputed tournament. They could just have Barrios and Norman fight, and then I think Norman wins that fight, and then we get the sexiest fight in the welterweight division, Norman and Boots, all 4 belts, 2 punchers, 2 athletes, 2 confident, undefeated American fighters. And I think that's the play. That's the ball. That's what I want to see by March 2026, if not sooner, by the end of the year, But we'll see. Norman certainly wants the Barrios fight first. He's about 4 or 5. He's a couple, 3. He's a couple years younger than Boots. He's not as into his prime as Boots is, so he wants a Barrios first before he gets in there with Ennis. But I think that's the play, man. I think that's the play. I think you can't count Norman out as an underdog in that fight because Boots gets hit and has defensive holes. He has a lot of athleticism to make up for it. He'll make you miss 4. Boots is interesting. He's hot. He's streaky on defense. Like we keep with the NBA comparison, streaky shooter. He's streaky on defense. He'll catch a rhythm and he'll style on you and look like Pernell Whitaker for a sequence or two. He'll make you miss clean and hit nothing but air. Roll the shot, make you hit. But then in the next breath, he'll have his head popped up with a jab. He'll be available if you can time him in between punches with a big shot. So if Norman can because he has the power and the athleticism and he's showing an ability to adjust and adapt in fights, if he can find Boots and find that chin when it's not tucked a couple of times on a consistent basis, it gets very interesting and he's a very live dog. But I think you got to favor Ennis. I think you got to favor Ennis over the field at welterweight. So Kobe Code, thank you, brother, says, thank you for the super chat, says, Sean, you are the best in the game. Create a Discord and a Patreon. Select moderators. Have content like Throwback Thursday Watch Parties, podcasts. Grow the community. No, thank you, man. I just got to be, more consistent and have harder work ethic and more confidence. A lot of times I don't get on that often on the channel is I'm a perfectionist and, a bad one. Not one that works really hard all the time and perfects everything, but one that, I don't know how I'll say this, and I don't know if they'll understand this point I'm trying to make. I don't know if I can even articulate this point. I don't even know if I'm right about that point anyways. And so I just don't do it. I just don't, it cripples me. But you're right. I just need to be more consistent on the channel. We had over 500 people in here. We still got almost 400 people in here. So obviously the people like it, and I just got to work harder. So I do got a couple kids. I would like for them to make a cameo, actually. So I want to see if my wife can bring down my son to say hi to everybody for a minute. But, hey, Boots needs to be fighting Crawford or Spence. Well, Spence's days are past. Hey, they can make a cameo.
Oh, we can make a cameo?
Yeah. Say hi to
your mom's.
Oh, yeah, my mom's. All right, never mind. She's at mother-in-law. All right, catch you guys that later. Love you, babe.
What time will you be home? What time will you be done?
I'll be jumping off soon.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see if we can make it.
All right, bye, babe.
Love you. Bye.
Love you, bye. All right. No Dice says good work, Sean. Tay-Day says you overthinking, bro. We're going to rock with you. Jameson says we love the content. Anthony says we love you, Sean. Oh, thank you, brother. Love you guys, too. Matteo Pantangeli. This is Frank Pantangeli's nephew from The Godfather. He says, congrats to Boots, but damn, he looked way bigger in there than Stanionis. He's a big welterweight. He's big. He's gonna get to middleweight one day. 54, though, them boys are his size at 54. Them boys, Fundora's a little bit bigger even. You know, them boys are his size at 54. Your Virgil and him, that would appear to be the fight, wouldn't it, at some point? Just like we all thought years ago when they were coming up. That would appear to be the fight, isn't it? It looks like Virgil's got some business to handle at 54, and Boots has got some business to handle at 47. And if they get through it, which I think the smart money would be they do, they got obstacles. There's a lot of obstacles at 54 for Virgil Ortiz. But I think a decent amount of us, myself included, see him as a hair by a cut as above the rest, as maybe the best, most complete 154 as he's really coming into his own now. And same thing with Ennis. Not as much depth at 47, at 54, but Brian Norman, looms as a dangerous underdog if he takes the fight, if he doesn't price himself out again. And if Norman keeps getting better fight to fight, he's the underdog, but he's got the power, he's country strong, and he's got the confidence and a growing IQ that he's a threat to Boots. But if Boots does what he's supposed to do at 47, Ortiz does what he's supposed to do at 54, it looks like 2 years' time or so, that's going to be the big fight. The big showdown at 54 is going to be Virgil and Boots. So we'll see. Do I think Virgil beats Fundora? Fundora is an interesting fighter. He could beat he's beatable and yet very hard to deal with. The only time he lost, it was on one left hook by Mendoza. He was winning every other moment of that fight. But Mendoza with his left hook and Lubin with his left hand showed you can knock this dude out. But he's a little bit harder to hit right now because he has a little bit more healthy fear, not fear, but for lack of a better way of putting it, he has a little bit more healthy fear in that ring now of what's coming back. He's a little bit more patient than he was before Mendoza knocked him out. And so he's a little bit harder to hit now. Not so much he's harder to hit, but he's harder to hit with the jackpot punch in between punches because he's being a little bit more selective and a little bit more patient since the Mendoza knockout. So I could see Fundora being a nightmare for anybody. I could see him just being too big, too long, getting too much leverage on his long arms and punishing you. And if you can't knock him out, you can't offset the size and the output and the fact that he does crack. And I could see him beating anybody, but I could see Virgil putting him to sleep. I could see Bakram beating him. I could see Jermell Charlo coming back after a long layoff with one tune-up and still beating him if he still could beat Jermell Charlo. Or I could see him beating their asses because he's 6'5" and punches hard and is tough. So I don't know. But to answer your question, I would favor Virgil. I favor Virgil. I just think despite the size and everything, Virgil's just overall a better fighter, an overall better fighter. So I'd favor Virgil. But, it'd be interesting if Fundora puts to bed all the he's a weight bully, he's a gimmick because of his height, and he fights ugly, and just fucks around and becomes undisputed. I wouldn't be mad at him for that. That's a good story. That's an actual... It's weird because he'd be like... Fundora becoming undisputed would make him like one of the first overdog underdogs. Who else do we have in sports that are overdog underdogs? Like he's an overdog because he's 6'6", and he's bigger than everybody. He should kick their ass, being funny here, like oversimplifying it. But then he's an underdog because despite being 6'6" and bigger than everybody, nobody believes in him. Nobody, even though he's the only guy with 2 belts, nobody says Fundora is the best super welterweight in the world. Even when he started running through legit fighters like Erickson Lubin, people are like, he doesn't use his height. His style's kind of ugly. And so he's an underdog. He'd be one of the first underdogs I could think of. So Fundora uses his height differently than most fighters. He does. He paws with the jab, and it's like, come inside if you want to. The uppercut and the body shot are coming. And he has a beautiful sweeping left hand, too. The way he sweeps it and turns it over, it's beautiful. I love the leverage he gets on the end of his shot. I like Fundora. He's a bad boy. He was about to lose to Zhu. He was getting hit with everything Zhu threw for 2 rounds. And then a big cut happened on Zhu. And he's kind of been the best super welterweight in the world since then. So, the jury's out. Zhu definitely looked like he was on his way to winning that fight handily. He was hitting Fundora with everything. Fundora's nose was a bloody mess after 5 minutes. But, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Then he took over the fight. And then he beat the shit out of, anyway. Did his thing. So, what's going to Stanionis now? Is he done? No, he's not done. Boots has to move up. I still think Stanionis could beat Barrios. I still think Stanionis is a tough fight for Norman right now. I'd favor Norman to beat him. I think he could beat Barrios. And then, Stanionis is still a player. He's had, coming into this fight, he had 1 fight in the last 3 years. He's fighting a guy who's going to be rehydrate to junior middleweight comfortably one day and be a big, strong junior middleweight. He's just, Boots is Boots. Boots is a bad boy. Like, yeah, he's got some flash over substance and all that, but he can do things other fighters can't do. Other fighters can't do the shit Boots does. Now, they can keep their hands up better than him. They can tuck their elbows better than him. They can tuck their chin better than him. But they cannot do all the crazy shit he does. They can't do. So that's the pro and con. That's the gift and curse of Jaron Ennis. I think he's one of the most fun fighters to watch in boxing and has been for years. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch. That doesn't ever stop me from critiquing or saying there's holes in his game. There are, but that's one of my top 3 or 4 favorite fighters to watch in boxing today because of the sauce. Now, the sauce, in order for me to really love it and validate it, it's got to be backed up by beating real guys at the top level. But if he can maintain the sauce and beat top guys, it's really fun to watch. I'm a big fan. I really like it. I'm not going to lie. So, yeah. So, Matt Borges has said, we love you. I love you, Matt. Thank you, brother, all night for the support. Stanionis was absolutely destroyed tonight. He was, but he did land his jab. He landed a couple of right hands, a couple of left hooks to the body. He wasn't as outclassed as Gotti was by Mayweather. Like, Gotti landed 2 punches in that fight. Floyd, in one of the last rounds, had landed 6 or 7 punches, and Gotti did actually land an up jab that made Floyd's head do this. And then the other time, Floyd backed straight up into the ropes and kind of waved his arms up like that, and Gotti snuck in a left hand to the body. That was it. Stanionis landed more than that in single rounds in this fight. So he didn't, at the end of the day, it's the same result. He gets stopped in 6 rounds and can't come out of the corner for the 7th and gets dominated. But he did better than Gotti. He did. So, hey, what's up? Oh yeah. Oh look. So you guys haven't seen Big Leo in a minute. Who from back in the day in the come here, Leo. Look. Say hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Look, that's the king right there.
Oh, so cute.
And then that's my little princess.
I'm sorry, she's sleepy.
Say hi.
She's excited to see you.
Hey, Leo.
Yeah.
Who wins, Boots or Norman?
Have they fought yet?
No, he dominated Stanionis.
Oh,
He
wow.
got the win. So, all right, but I'm gonna get back to the people.
I think.
Oh, you want Daddy? Oh, you gonna take my Skittles? Let's
Run
go.
upstairs, anyway.
Benavides or Bivol? Come on now. Benavides? Okay, all right, good. He watches. All right, bye, guys.
Come on. Ask them to show you. Come on. Leo.
We're going to play Gran Turismo later, right? All right.
Come on.
Play that Gran Turismo. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I love my family. I like to get them on camera and say hi to everybody. Thank you, Sean Marcus, Antonio Mayas, Maria C. Relax, it's only money. Remy, thank you, guys. Yeah, Pokemon fan. Yeah, if his mom gets him, I think his mom gives him some good swag, some good clothes, some good hoodies. Pokemon, Sonic, Ninja Turtles, 49ers, all that. Nah, Bevo, shorty. Relax, it's only money. It says, no, Bevo, shorty. That's funny. No, that one got me. Boots will kill Norman. Easy work for Boots. I'm not convinced of that. I think he wins the fight, but I love the fight. Norman's a live dog with his power. Yeah, I got Boots, though. But Norman's a dog. He got like 10 Skittles, quick hand. He did. Yeah, Norman can crack Panama. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't count him out. I love the fight. And I love the build up to the fight. I love, Dirty South versus the East Coast. Two strong bulls in their prime, in their 20s. Both got power. Both are good athletes. They go about their business in a different way. It's okay. So, like, Norman is like the Dirty South rappers. They're not trying to compete with the East Coast rappers as in their lane as lyricists. Boots, like a great East Coast MC, it's like punchlines and ooh and flashy, and not flashy, but the skill is obvious. And then down south, they're not considered as lyrical. They make up for it with their own swag, their own energy, their own way. And that's Norman. There's a method to his rugged skills. It doesn't jump off the page like Ennis's skills and all his different punch selection and everything. But Norman has a method to what he does. He has a method to his country. His skills are almost rugged like the Dirty South, right? But if you just look at it with a naked eye, you may overlook the subtlety to it, what makes it work. Like good Southern rappers. You're like, oh, he's not as lyrical as, Cool G Rap or these great East Coast lyricists. He's not, no, but they make up for it in their own way with their own style, especially if you're into that kind of thing. So that's kind of like Norman. So, yeah, he's that Dirty South rapper who on paper, he's not the big pun lyricist. He's not the smooth, complicated lyricist that Boots Ennis is, speaking metaphorically, but he's from the Dirty South and he's rugged, and I'll put you on your ass, like that kind of that kind of thing. So we'll see. I love it. But Norman gets touched. He got touched by Cuevas. It's not a given he would beat Barrios. I actually think Barrios would be piecing Norman up in that fight, but Norman will hold up to it. He's a dog. He's a physically strong guy. He'll eat Barrios' best. He'll adjust to him. And when Barrios starts getting touched with Norman's best, he's not going to be able to hold up to it the way Norman can hold up to what he's got. And I think he stops Barrios in the second half of a fight between those two. But I do think Barrios probably buzzes or hurts Norman early because Norman got hit early against Cuevas. Barrios is a better fighter than that. Barrios knows how to keep his distance, has his base plan, good balance, good power, good timing, good fighter. So I think he would crack Norman, but I think Norman would withstand whatever he's got to withstand, adjust a little bit, and he has the heavier hands and physically is stronger, looks built more durable to withstand punishment. And I just think he'd stop Barrios, and then we could get to undisputed. But what's most likely, people, isn't so I saw Giasov. I wasn't that impressed. He's good. He's good, but I just wasn't, he played with his food a little bit and he looked good, but I don't see a guy as a huge threat. And good fighter. Won the medal for Uzbekistan. Definitely a good fighter, but not too worried. Barrios is slow compared to Bryan. Yeah, I think Norman is the better athlete, the twitchier guy than Barrios. But yeah. So man, anything else we want you guys? Boots to try for undisputed. I think that's definitely the plan. We'll just see, man. We'll see. I'm just curious where he signs after this, or if he just stays with Eddie, and they believe they could land Barrios and Norman on the Matchroom side. So Maul or Plant? Plant. You know, Jamal is just, bro, stay focused on FIFA. Oh, there's that guy always on my Twitter saying FIFA. I don't play FIFA. You should just amend your joke to be a little bit more accurate. Cool boy Max. You should say, bro, stick to FIFA stick to Overwatch. Just pick a game that I actually play. You know, NBA 2K, Gran Turismo 7, Overwatch 2, Halo, any of the Halo games, the Dragon Ball Sparking game, Undisputed, the Marvel vs. Capcom. Just pick. I play so many games. Just pick one that I actually play. Is my recommendation. But it's your burn. You stick with it. No, good commentary. Just waiting on the Times Square fights coming up. Yeah, Times Square. Relax, you know. It says it's because I'm Italian. What's that about? But Times Square fights. All right, let's look ahead of that for a second. Yeah. I think Ryan will stop Rolly. I love Rolly outside the ring, but I'm skeptical of him being competitive in the fight and him letting his hands go in the fight. You know, if he punches with Ryan and takes chances, he gives himself that puncher's chance. If he's timid like he's been since the Tank knockout, I don't see how the fight could be competitive. So, yeah. And then Barboza and Tio. I think Tio wins. But Barboza, I just think Tio sometimes has won these fights controversially. Some people didn't think he beat Ortiz and Martin. Sometimes he just wins these fights on talent. He's just more talented and explosive than the other fighter. He doesn't really make the adjustments he needs to make to cut the ring off. Barboza has intelligent feet. He's going to try to frustrate Lopez, counterpunch him, pick his spots when Lopez makes his mistakes with his hands low and relies on his reflexes and athleticism. But ultimately, I just think, if nothing else, Lopez's talent can win him this fight. If he actually does make adjustments, he can dominate Barboza potentially because of the talent gap. But then again, you know, Tio struggles against guys with educated feet. Barboza's a grown-ass, hungry man. Tio sometimes is very immature in and out of the ring. So he's vulnerable. He could lose to a Barboza. That's why he lost to George Kambosos. We've seen this movie before. But I pick Lopez. I think Barboza woke him up a little too soon. I think he kept egging. He enjoyed bullying him too much. Like, he made Tio have that deep gulp in the ring, you know, and all that, and he was feeling it. Like, yeah, man, like, I'm George Kambosising him. Like, George Kambosos, even before the bell rang, brought the fight to Tio psychologically. I'm in your face. I know you think it's just a chihuahua barking, but motherfucker, I'm going to beat your ass. I'm taking that belt. And it allowed Kambosos to set the tone. And before Tio knew what hit him, you know, the upset was on before he knew what hit him. Barboza tipped his hand too soon. He enjoyed him feeling like he was bullying Lopez, and then he put his hands on Lopez, and Lopez, boom, smacked him. And I think that's where, you shot your load too soon. You woke him up. You put the focus in on him, and so now he's going to be ready for this fight, and he'll win this fight. So I got Lopez, and then the real story of the night, beyond the fun matchup of Ryan and Rolly that you know is going to end in a knockout, beyond Tio and Barboza, which is looked at as the real upset potential, the real story of the night, substance-wise, and there's more than one storyline, but it's what's Devin Haney got left? And does Devin Haney go right back to pitching a shutout? using his feet in the center of the ring, being first with the jab, being a great boxer in the center of the ring, or does he look shaky? Does Ramirez corner him and make him clinch excessively? Do his legs buckle anytime Ramirez gets in a solid shot? Does he look a little gun shy? Does the punch resistance look shaky? Or does he go right back to his regularly scheduled program, hot off the Regis Prograis fight, and dominate in the center of the ring? He'll probably, do something in the middle. Like Jojo Diaz found him with the left hand. Lomachenko found him with the left hand. Garcia found him with the left hand. Linares hurt him with the left hand. So Jose Ramirez may very well land his left hand and may buzz Devin or hit him hard a couple of times and bank a couple of rounds. And Devin will win 10-2, 9-3, a wide unanimous decision, but Ramirez will have moments, and on we go. That's what I'm expecting. What you're hoping, if you're hoping Haney to look well, is that he dominates and keeps the fight in the center of the ring and pitches a shutout and looks like a virtuoso doing it like he did against Prograis. But Prograis and kind of a lot of those two Kambosos fights. Kambosos and Prograis is the only time he's really done that at this level. The other times, whether it's JoJo or Ryan or Loma or even Linares in the late rounds, these guys find him and touch him, so I expect it's tough because Ramirez, he only gets his work done really on the ropes in the center of the ring. I don't think he'll have a lot of answers for the length and the legs of Haney. So I don't know. I just think Haney wins the fight. But the big takeaway will be, how does he look coming back? How's he look? So let's see. Haney is in need of personal redemption after Ryan stole his mojo. He is, but Ryan's in need of it just as much as he is. Ryan, at the end of the day, blew weight, bragged about it, and then didn't pass a drug test, talked about there should be a steroid league before the fight. His voice got deeper for some reason for 6 to 9 months. It even looked like his head got a little bigger. But the head thing, that's speculative. The voice thing is an objective fact. For whatever reason, in 2024, Ryan Garcia had a deeper voice than he did this year and the year that preceded it. Make of that what you will. So between all that, even though Ryan won the court of public opinion, he's a good kid, or a good-looking kid. He's got a good mouthpiece. He's always knows, he's hip. He always knows how to have his finger on the pulse of contemporary culture beyond boxing. Again, he's the good-looking kid. He's the superstar. And so the public gravitates towards that. But make no mistake, he has just as much, if not more, but I would say just as much, if not more, to prove than Devin Haney coming back. Because Devin Haney, if they never put on a pair of gloves again in their life, Devin Haney did something in boxing. He's the youngest undisputed lightweight champion in the history of the sport and the only undisputed lightweight champion in the 4-belt era. Yeah, he beat George Kambosos to do it. He didn't beat Tio to do it, Tank to do it, Loma to do it. He beat Loma controversially. A lot of people felt Loma won that fight. It was a close fight. Very close fight. Could have went either way. Anyways, Haney's actually done something. Ryan's never been a world champion. So, yeah, if anything, Ryan has just as much to prove, if not more. But Brian Norman ain't going to fight Boots. I think he will, but I just think he wants to get paid a lot for it, and he wants it to be for Undisputed, because if he loses, hey, I lost for Undisputed for a lot of money, not for a fraction of the money for one belt versus one belt. I just think Norman knows that's the fight in the division, and I think him and his dad knows it's by far the toughest fight in the division. So you want to take that risky fight when the reward makes sense with it, and I think that's what they're doing right now. If they never take that fight and they just duck Boots Ennis, then that's disgraceful. But I think they would take the fight. I just think they want to make this payday against Jin Sasaki in Japan in June, and I think they will. I think they are going to fight Jin Sasaki in June. And then I think he knocks him out. And then I think they're going to want to do the Barrios fight. And then they'll want to do the Ennis fight, which is, if you're a fan, probably a little aggravating, because who is Brian Norman? Who is he beat to be plotting his course like he's some A-side? You know what I mean? It's like, hey, just take the career high payday and give the fight the fans want to see. But I understand it. If he's plotting and ultimately is going to take the fight, then I got to understand it. And, you know, as long as they both fight each other in their 20s in the next 12 months or so, all right then, Norman, plot your course. But the hard part is what the fuck is what does Boots do in the meantime then? Let's look at the rankings. Let's look at the rankings. What does Boots do in the meantime then? If Norman's going to be able to get Barrios or something. Maybe not. Maybe Boots just gets Barrios. Maybe that could if Boots is going to go to PBC, PBC might just go, well, fuck this whole kumbaya moment with Top Rank. Hold on. That's what I want. I want them to have the kumbaya moment and be like, you know what? We're working together so much in such good faith right now going forward. We have Ennis, and we could do Ennis versus Barrios. Boom, all PBC. But you know what? We're going to let Barrios go ahead and fight Norman so that then we can do PBC Top Rank for Undisputed. But then again, PBC could just say, if they get Ennis, they could just say, well, why don't we just do Barrios right away and get our guy 3 belts, and then we could still do Norman Undisputed, but with that much more leverage. Our fight. Anyways, yeah, let's see. If he's not going to get the other champions, what's even out there? What's even out there at welterweight? Let's see. Let's look at the rankings again real quick. All right. Yeah, well, obviously these are the top 4, the 4 champions. Santillan, there's nothing there. Curiel, Rocha, I mean, okay, you know, Rocha's kind of got a name. We all know Alexis Rocha, right? Giasov, all right, but Giasov will okay, so Giasov, he could fight Giasov, I guess, but I don't think Giasov's a real threat. Giasov's is mandatory. Rolly, hey. If you're Boots, this is it right here. This is it. The winner of Ryan and Rolly is more money, especially if it's Ryan, which probably will be. I love you, Rolly. Then Ryan becomes a bigger money fight than Norman for Undisputed anyways. So, okay, there you go. Other than the traditional route, you know, the boxing nerd route, and I'm a boxing nerd, I like that route always. Other than the traditional route, grab all 4 belts. Easily, the other plan is Conor Benn. If Conor Benn can beat Eubank, I don't think he will. But the real play, right here, Garcia and Haney. Garcia and Haney is the real play. Haney is sitting pretty if he beats Ramirez. Haney's a free agent. He can negotiate with PBC. Hey, I'll fight Barrios. Let me fight Barrios, and you know. But Haney and Garcia, if they get past their fights, and I think they will, they become the priority for Boots along with Undisputed. So that's the play for Boots at 47. Either the traditional route, find a way to get Barrios and Norman in the ring, or if you can't get those guys, you can only get one of them, Haney and Garcia, Haney and Garcia, Haney and Garcia. And he's the favorite to beat both of those guys. Haney is more decorated than Boots, but he's a lightweight coming up. Boots will be the favorite. And Garcia, he started at lightweight. He's kind of like Boots. A lot of natural talent, some flaws, but incredible natural talent that blows away the flaws and masks it and overrides it. But, you know, Boots would be the favorite. Boots would be the favorite against Ryan. But then again, if Ryan looks sensational at welterweight and that left hook is electric at 147, then the way Boots has those vulnerabilities at times in defense with the chin exposed, it might just take one left hook to make people believe Ryan can knock him out. So there you go. Hey, Jameson Childress says, don't attack me, chat, but I'd love to see Blair Cobbs versus Boots. I love it as a stay busy fight. I like it more than Giasov or Alexis Rocha, if nothing else, for entertainment. I'm with you, Jameson Childress. I like the Blair Cobbs fight. Eden the Remix says Haney would never fight Boots, never ever. I wouldn't advise him to do it. If I was managing Haney, we'd look to get the Barrios fight and just do something else at welterweight besides fight Jaron Ennis. Boots is taking a lot of shots. He has. He's got a good chin, though. Problem is, I don't think Boots, his problem isn't his chin. He has a good, in terms of taking a punch, he has a good chin, but it doesn't matter if you have a good chin and guys can catch you on the button with the chin exposed and not tucked. It doesn't matter. I mean, it matters. Good chins will still hold up better than bad ones, but even a good chin could get one punch KO'd if the chin is exposed and not tucked. And so that keeps things interesting with Boots. Tiafimo versus Boots. I think Boots is too much for those stars moving up. Those more decorated, more accomplished, and bigger name stars. Tio, Ryan, Devin. Look, they've all, not Ryan. Ryan hasn't, but Tio and Devin, they've definitely accomplished more than Boots. And then even, if we're even going down the line and thinking about Shakur and Tank moving, I just think he's too much for those guys. A good big man beats a good little man. Those Boots is, unless he just can't make welterweight anymore and he'd stick around for a money fight too long at the weight, I don't think those star lightweights and junior welterweights moving up beat Boots. I don't think so. Gary Antoine Russell would be interesting because Gary Antoine Russell beat him multiple times in the amateurs. And Gary Antoine, you could see being a welterweight one day, but I don't think it's going to ever line up, unfortunately. But Gary Antoine would be interesting coming up from 40. That, if I were to pick a 40-pounder coming up, it would be Ryan or Gary Antoine. Ryan because his power. I suspect it will translate to 47, and he's tall, so he can carry weight. Ryan's an interesting fight for Boots at 47, and Gary Antoine would. But out of all them young guys, all those stars moving up, the only guy I'd really give a real chance at beating Boots is Ryan if he looks really good against Rolly and his head's on right and, he's just fighting well. Then Ryan, with his size and his power and his speed, is a winnable fight. I would favor Boots, but it's a winnable fight. Haney and Tio, I just think Haney will meet his match. He's not the more athletic guy. He's not just going to outbox Boots. And then his durability would be an issue against the power of Boots, who's not just some plodding guy, who's not just going to find him with left hands like Lomachenko and JoJo as a short guy. He's a bigger guy. He's going to find him with a myriad of punches, and the power is going to take its effect. And Devin's not the more athletic guy. They're about even in that department. If anything, Boots is a little more athletic. So it's just not a good fight for Devin. And then Tio's too little. Tio doesn't have Ryan's build. He doesn't have the kind of frame to pack on weight, long arms. He has short arms, a more compact frame. I just don't think he's messing with Boots. Ryan's got the frame, the height, the power, and the speed to compete with Boots and challenge him at a real level. But I don't know. Ryan's defense is not good enough against Boots. I suspect it isn't either. That's why I'd favor Boots, but it's a good fight. Ryan will die in there. You're sadly mistaken. I mean, he's not going to literally die. Ryan stands a chance in that fight, in my opinion, but it's just my opinion. I pick Ennis, but I wouldn't count Ryan out. Let's see how these guys look in a couple weeks. What's the next fight you're streaming? I'll be at Gabriela Fundura's fight next week in Oceanside. But I will be streaming the Eubank Ben fight. I'll be doing a live round by round, and I'll be doing a live round by round of the Times Square fights because I'm not flying out to New York City to cover that show. I got a New A to cover here. That should be fun and awkward, right? You guys all remember my infamous Inoue moment. But it's not the first time I've covered Inoue in America. I've covered him a couple times in America. I won't be interviewing him. His team put the kibosh on any potential big SZ Inoue interviews, but I get it. I get their why they feel how they feel. But I'll be covering the monster here. I might stop into New York City one day out of the week because they got the Boxing Writers Association Awards dinner, and apparently they want your boy to come out and represent for the videographers, so we'll see. But I feel like you're ruling out the obvious that Ryan and Devin will probably meet after May in their fights. They will. Yeah, they will. They will. But I'm just saying for Boots, those are the other guys on the radar outside of Barrios and Norman. It's got to be Haney and Garcia, So, but yeah, they are going to have their rematch after they win. And I'll give you guys my pick after May 2nd. I just want to see how they all look. I want to see how Ryan and Devin look at welterweight after that fight. And after that, I'll give you my pick on who I think's going to win. So, because I still think it's very both scenarios are very plausible. Ryan just has Devin Haney's number. Devin's not the faster guy on the outside. He has to reach a little bit for his right hand, and that leaves him open for the left hook. He can't just win the fight off his lead hand alone. And Ryan is actually the better athlete, definitely the better puncher, and he just has Devin's number. There's fighters that Devin can beat that Ryan can't beat, but head-to-head, Ryan has his number. That's possible, or it's possible Ryan took some steroids, and that's why his voice was deeper. And he had a level of power, even though he's always going to be a good puncher, a great puncher. It was enhanced, and Devin underestimated him, was overconfident. Devin made a bunch of mistakes in defending against the left hook, and so Ryan's not as brutal, not as dangerous, making weight, passing a drug test, and Devin makes the adjustments and he beats Ryan in a rematch. Or Ryan just has his fucking number. He's going to pass a drug test and make whatever weight he has to make and still have that dynamite left hook just as good as it's ever been. And yeah, and he was weight drained against Tank, and that is part of why he wasn't quite as heavy hitting against Tank as he was against Devin. And what you saw against Devin is a lot more of what you really get with Ryan than what you saw against Tank. We'll see. We'll see. So yeah, but man, you guys are really rocking. We still got over 400 people in here. Who do I got between Eubank and Connor? I got Eubank. Part of me, I can finally like Chris Eubank a little bit because he said heading into this fight, look, everyone looks at me as the biggest prick, and you're a prick and I'm a prick, but you took steroids, so I'm the good guy here. But he acknowledged that he's a prick, Chris Eubank Jr., and he is. He is maybe the biggest prick fighter I've ever met. The guy, like, he lived up to all the hype of, oh man, Chris Eubank Jr., he's an asshole. He delivered in my experiences with him. But in him admitting that in the lead up to the fight, honesty is always likable. And so for him to have the self-awareness to say that and to keep it real about that makes me like him a little bit. Like, okay, cool, I can appreciate the honesty. And anyways, about the fight, it's so before that, I kind of wanted Conor Benn to beat him, even though I know he's so much smaller, and I just kind of wanted him to win because I think Chris Eubank's a prick. But putting that aside, Eubank is too big for him, and Eubank's better than him. Eubank kind of like Boots sometimes has those defensive holes, like it's not always fundamentally tight and sound. But he's been fighting his best lately. That Liam Smith rematch and how he stopped Cirametta, he's got a great uppercut. He's got good hand speed and creativity, and good combinations. He's a good athlete, and he's bigger than Conor Benn. Conor Benn is much smaller than him. And Eubank, I saw Conor Benn last year here in America when I covered him against Pistol Pete Dobson. Shout out to Pistol Pete from New York. Got love for Pistol Pete Dobson, but he's a domestic level fighter. That's a term we usually use for British fighters or Commonwealth fighters. Well, that's what Pete Dobson is in America. He's a domestic level fighter. He's not really a world championship level fighter. And I saw Conor Benn struggle with Pistol Pete Dobson, get taken the distance and get touched up by Pistol Pete Dobson. And so I just think that doesn't bode well against Chris Eubank. Chris Eubank, with some of those defensive lapses, could Conor Benn wing a right hand over a low lead hand of Chris Eubank and surprise him? Sure, he could, but he didn't knock out Pete Dobson at welterweight. Why is he going to knock out a middleweight, a middleweight, super middleweight in Chris Eubank Jr.? Eubank's bigger. Eubank, to me, is the more creative fighter with his punch selection. Conor Benn relies on his athleticism and wings a lot of shots. I just think Eubank wins the fight. I think Eubank wins the fight. And Eubank could fuck around and get that Canelo fight if he wins this fight. Because he's in with Turkey. He's fighting overseas over there. Turkey's got 4 fights to fill out for Canelo. So, and then that brings me to another thing. My Canelo Benavidez, my Bivol Benavidez take. Look, I hesitated to question if Bivol's ducking Benavidez because, look, I get it. He has a trilogy to conclude with Beterbiev, but look at this trilogy behind me, Morales Barrera, right? Their first fight was controversial. Their second fight was controversial. Both fights were for the lineal titles of the division at 22 and 26. Their first fight was way better than Beterbiev Bivol, even though they're both two good fights, 24 high-level, very good rounds. But Ali and Frazier, Morales Barrera, so on and so forth, none of them fought their trilogy. The only other trilogy I could think of off top, Carbajal, Chiquita Gonzalez, and Israel Vasquez against Rafael Marquez are the only other trilogies I could think of where they did it back to back to back. But basically all your other trilogies, Ali Frazier, Ali Norton, Morales Barrera, Morales Pacquiao, Pacquiao Marquez, took 4 years in between fights. They fought other great fighters in between their trilogy. You can't just say, well, trilogy. It's like, yeah, we've had a lot of great trilogies in boxing. Most of them didn't happen back to back to back. Most of them fought other great fighters in between their trilogy fights. So I get it. Bivol has a trilogy to handle. The WBC is on some fucking bullshit. The guy just won the belt. They let Jamal Charlo hold the belt for years without doing anything. They let Canelo bullshit at 68 against David. So why not let Bivol not even bullshit? Just defend his title. I get it. It's bullshit by the WBC. There's no precedent for what they've done to Dmitry Bivol. He has a trilogy against Artur Beterbiev. They're both future Hall of Famers. They have a historic trilogy to conclude. Beterbiev is 40. He's not getting older. Turki Al-Sheikh pays his bills. Turki Al-Sheikh is going to offer him more money to conclude this trilogy with his Russian countryman who he owes a rematch with than he will make fighting David Benavidez, right? I get it. But at the end of the day, I knew that basically all the media would go, Bivol's not ducking Benavidez. And I knew a subgroup of the media would go, Benavidez is ducking Bivol. He just wants his vacant email belt and all of that. Look, at the end of the day, Dmitry Bivol vacated his belt instead of facing David Benavidez. Okay? So what kicked off this thought is me bringing up Chris Eubank with Canelo, right? You can't act like if Bivol gets past his trilogy with Beterbiev, then he'll fight Benavidez. No, he won't. I'm not convinced of that. Then Turkey, who has 4 fights tied in with huge money with Canelo, he's going to look to match Canelo with Bivol. That's what's going to happen. If Canelo and Bivol win the fights they are slightly favored to win, Canelo over Crawford, Bivol over a 40-year-old Beterbiev, what do you think Turkey's going to do? Now we'll do a PBC Riyadh season joint venture and we'll do Bivol and Benavidez? No. I think what happened is Benavidez got flown out to Riyadh, and he got put the real offer. You could have anything you want. You could have Canelo. You could have the winner of Bivol Beterbiev, but you have to kiss the ring. You have to kiss the ring. You have to leave PBC and Sampson and Heyman and all that if you really want it. And I understand if you go, so then what's there to argue about? Kiss the ring and take the fight. Do you want to fight the best or not? What's more important, staying loyal to Al Heyman and this concept of American boxing in America, or proving you're the best? He's the shot caller. He's the one with the money. Do what you got to do. But I can respect not wanting to kiss the ring. I haven't kissed his ring, so I can respect the fighter not wanting to do it. And if he's not going to kiss the ring, then that's why Turkey said Turkey killed the fight. So if he killed the fight right now, why wouldn't he kill the fight 6 months from now, 12 months from now, if Canelo and Bivol win? So what I'm getting at is, okay, maybe it's not fair to say that Bivol ducked Benavidez right now. What about if he doesn't fight him after he beats Beterbiev? Even though that's still the best fight at light heavyweight. What if he does a rematch with Canelo because of the money in Turkey? And then can you say it's a duck against Canelo? When can you say it's a duck? If you can't say it's a duck when he's given up his title, then you'll just come up with another reason why it's not a duck. Oh, well, he's got the Canelo rematch. If he never winds up fighting David Benavidez, it's more his fault than it is David Benavidez's. So No, I don't think Dimitri Bivol is ducking David Benavidez. But if anybody is ducking anybody, Bivol is got to get labeled the duck, not Benavidez. You don't get labeled the duck for being a mandatory for your second straight undisputed champion, and for whatever reason they won't face you and defend those titles against you. And so that's what I mean. Benavidez, what if this was the only window to make the fight? And let it go to a purse bid. Because then maybe Benavidez' team would have pulled shenanigans. Maybe they would have gone, no. Turkey won the purse bid. Eddie Hearn won the purse bid. David Benavidez is an American fighter, wants to fight in America. Okay, then it's a duck on Benavidez. But we never got there. Turkey killed the fight. It was DOA. Never went to a purse bid. And so, because of Turkey and Dimitri Bivol's team, we don't get Bivol Benavidez. We get Bivol versus against a 40-year-old Artur Beterbiev. Neither of those first two fights were the fight of the year. None of the 24 rounds they have are round of the year candidates. Yes, it's an excellent historic trilogy, but my God, man, greater trilogies allowed other great fights in between them happening. And we're not going to get that, and it was Bivol who vacated the belt. So if anybody should go down as a duck, it's Bivol. I don't think he's ducking Benavidez. I don't think fighters do that a whole lot. I think he feels he owes his countrymen his return match like his countrymen gave him. He owes Turkey Al-Sheikh loyalty for giving him the kind of money he never made before that. And I understand all that. But I knew there was going to be this spin that, oh no, Benavidez is ducking. Benavidez just wants an email title. No, that's bullshit. If we're going to play that game, it's Bivol who vacated, and Bivol's promoter, real promoter, Turkey Al-Sheikh, who shot down the fight after he said he wanted to make the fight. David, come fly out to Riyadh. You could fight the winner of Bivol Beterbiev. Well, something didn't go right there because he took that fight off the table. And this is supposed to be the guy who makes the fights, right? But at the end of the day, he's probably just like Bob Arum and Al Heyman and the rest of them. No, I want to make the fights under my umbrella. If it means making the fights, working with another promoter, I'd rather shoot it down and make something in-house. I'd rather make Canelo Bivol 2, Bivol Beterbiev 3. So stop the honeymoon phase with the guy. Okay, he killed Bivol Benavidez, maybe for good. So we'll see. Let's see. I got a super chat from MAW. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Said, I have a theory. A trilogy might happen without existing belts and instead be promo launch for the new TKO launch. Canelo vs. Skull and Bud might be 2. WBC might know not getting fees, so force Mando. Possible? Anything's possible. Turkey's got the money. If he dictates that to the fighters, I want you to do this. I want you to vacate it and be my first undisputed champion with TKO boxing. But I don't think that happens, MAW, because I don't think the fighters want that. I don't think Canelo wants to relinquish his titles. I think he likes his titles, whether Turkey likes them or not. He fought for them and earned them. He doesn't want to discard them. And I think that Turkey doesn't, that's too soon of a time window to get everything done. Right now, TKO is trying to appeal the Ali Act and get it modified. I don't think, look, anything's possible because Dana is like this with the Trump administration. So he's got friends in high places that can push legislature through. So it's possible that they can expedite anything. But I don't think so. I think that by the time Canelo and Bud happens and the Bivol Beterbiev trilogy happens by the end of the year, I still think it'll be for sanctioning body belts. But I think you got a great idea, and I think it's an idea they would love to do potentially, but they can't. They can't establish their league just yet the way they want to. The Ali Act stands in the way, and I think the fighters who fight for and earn these belts don't want to discard them regardless of what Turkey wants. But if he says, hey, I'm the motherfucker paying you all this money, overpaying you all this money, I want those belts in the trash, they'll do it. Okay? They'll do what they're told if they have to. So we'll see. I though, MAW, would bet that no, they don't do that. And that their belts will be there. Some of them at the very least. Be real, Bivol is far more skilled than the Mexican Cookie Monster. I don't think. I think Benavidez and it's like Boots, man. Stanionis, like Bivol, He throws his punches more compact. He brings his hands home more fundamentally sound. He's the more fundamentally sound fighter. And no, I don't think Benavidez dominates Bivol like Boots did Stanionis tonight, but some of the same concept applies. You look at Benavidez like you look at Boots. Man, that chin is exposed sometimes. Sometimes he squares his feet. Sometimes he does this wrong and that wrong and this isn't fundamentally sound. You're overlooking all the sauce, all the dynamic creativity that allow him to do things other fighters can't do. Bivol can keep the high guard better than Benavidez. He can shoot the 1, 2, 3 a little more sharp and compact, but he can't mimic the sauce, the creativity Benavidez has to the body and the head and the hand speed and the combinations and the punch selection and the uppercuts. That's what you're overlooking, my friend. Bivol is the more fundamentally sound fighter. His feet are more educated. He's got the great amateur background that Benavidez lacks. But Benavidez is the more dynamic and the more gifted professional. And he's the more creative fighter. He's the more offensively gifted and talented fighter, in my opinion. And so I think because Benavidez is 6 years younger than Bivol, because he got the better of him in sparring, I love making my joke. Everybody's got a theory why he did better in sparring. Or he did better in sparring because he's a sparring king. Or Bivol reined it back a little bit. Or it's just sparring. My theory is, get ready because I always like sharing this theory. It's a wild theory. My theory is he got the better of him in sparring because he'll get the better of him in a fight. That's my wild theory. So, yeah, that's what I think you're overlooking is, it's like Boots. It's like, oh, you could take advantage of him making mistakes and getting away with it with his athleticism or his size or his combinations, but that sauce is a sauce few fighters have. So that's what makes up for some of those fundamental lapses is, okay, yeah, my chin is up a little bit, or, my feet do get square, but you can't throw 6 or 7 punches in a blistering combination to the body and the head like I can. So that makes up for it. So that's what everybody overlooks about Benavidez against Bivol and Beterbiev. That in my opinion, that's what they overlook. Sometimes you work on shit in sparring, it don't matter as much, bro. I hear you, Jermaine Howlett. No, I hear you. I know. But sometimes he beats your ass in sparring because he's going to beat your ass in a fight. Sometimes that's true, too. Floyd Mayweather schooled Diego Corrales in sparring, schooled him in the fight. There's a few other examples of guys, I can't remember off top, but there's examples of guys knew that they gave a fighter trouble in the gym and they knew they could pose those same problems in the gym when other people didn't know about it. Like Brian Norman got his name out there. Errol Spence got his name out there with what? It wasn't so much the Olympics. He gave Floyd a tough day at sparring. Now, does that translate into he would have beaten Floyd Mayweather? No. But it translated into, he is the real deal in the welterweight division. The other one I was trying to think of, I just forgot about it. Oh, there's another one. It slipped my mind, but no, and here's the thing. It's not that he just got the better of him. The word is, he dominated him and maybe even dropped him or hurt Bivol. Brian Norman. Brian Norman's getting this name for himself. But before Brian Norman beat Santillan, Brian Norman was having a couple of pedestrian performances that made people go meh. But what had his name buzzing was he gave Crawford some hard work in Atlanta the weekend of the Shakur Jamel Herring fight. And look, it translated. He's a world champion now. Sparring ain't always just sparring, man. Sparring sometimes is an indicator of what's going to happen in that ring. So, so I get it. Bivol, Sean, my man Sean Porter, he wasn't a great sparrer. Sean worked with guys, like your point, Jermaine. He worked with guys, worked on defense, worked on specific things with Kenny. And he was never... Guys like Devin Haney are amazing in sparring. And Devin is pretty good on fight night too, but... some guys are just exquisite in sparring, and then other guys, they work on things. That's not where they shine. They work towards a peak, and then they let everything out the bag on fight night. Bivol's probably like Sean is, and he matches Sean in that kind of humble demeanor and temperament. But, I mean, if Benavidez was cracking him and dominating him in sparring, I just think he beats him in a fight. I don't think he dominates or stops him in a fight. I think he beats him. So that's just how I see it. It's funny. Which should tip your hand that something's up in the public consciousness about Benavidez against the Russians, Bivol and Beterbiev, is that anytime, this is what should tip your hand that I'm probably right, is anytime I take my stance that, well, actually, if anyone Bivol ducked Benavidez, he vacated the belt, and his promoter shot down the fight. Well, actually, I think Benavidez beats Beterbiev and Bivol. One of them's 34, the other's 40. He's younger. He has better hand speed, particularly against Beterbiev. It's about even with Bivol. I think he beats them. And it's the reaction I get. Usually, when not usually, but sometimes, when someone's opinion is met with, oh, you're crazy, or it's mocked, especially if it's coming from someone who tends to know what they're talking about, like me with boxing, that should tip your hand to, they might be tripping. They might be wrong. Because it's not that people disagree with me. It's the way they shoot it down. Oh, they scoff. Like Benavidez against Bivol or Beterbiev is just this huge underdog, 10-1. Like he's Buster Douglas against Mike Tyson, and no, he's not ducking Bivol, or Bivol's not ducking him, or Beterbiev, he's ducking them. He's just clout chasing and wants to fight Kyle Smelt for a vacant belt. PBC and their games and their tricks. It's like word. You can't even consider that this younger monster could beat them. It's out of the realm of possibility. That's what lets you know that opinion isn't it. That no, Benavidez is just a cookie monster who gets his ass beat by Bivol and Beterbiev, just a clout chaser, just a weight bully clout chasing. Sorry, fuck. Like, no. I'll tell you this. Listen, let some of these guys tell it, right? And he's just a flat-footed, squares up bum, not a good defense, has no power, translating to 175, clout chaser, Burger Benavidez, right? Let them tell it. That's their narrative. And Canelo definitely beats him, and so does Bivol and Beterbiev. Let me tell it. An alternate take that always gets shot down. Maybe. I acknowledge it. Maybe Canelo folds him with a body shot in 6 to 8 rounds because David stands too straight up. Canelo will punch in between the shot, fold him up in a body shot. Maybe Bivol boxes his ears off. David don't got the footwork to fuck with him. He's not going to out-monster Beterbiev. Beterbiev will beat him in a phone booth fight. He'll get a taste of his own medicine. Maybe you're right. Or maybe this younger fighter who's actually taller than them, despite coming up from 68, they all out of one breath admit that he's a weight bully that could fight a cruiserweight. Okay then, so despite coming up in weight, he might actually be bigger than them. So this younger guy who's undefeated, who hasn't really come close to losing, except maybe the first Graville fight when he was 20, and then he dominated and sent him in the hospital to rematch. This younger guy who's bigger than them and probably faster than them and is hungry and is in his 20s as they are aging aging each other out with the wear and tear of their fight, I think that 28-year-old guy beats them. Because that's how it normally worked in boxing for the longest time. Great fighters get old and lose to talented, hungry, great young talents that become great out with the old, in with the new. So that's my take. My take is that, yeah, maybe they do beat Benavidez, but I think he beats them. That's my take. So, all right. That's it. I think I'll leave on that. No, my point is, maybe some of their favorite fighters see what I see. Because if they saw what all of them are talking about, weight bully that sucks with flat feet and no defense and doesn't hit hard at 175, wouldn't they have just beat his ass already? Instead of either vacating a title or, okay, Arthur Beterbiev called out Jake Paul. Has he ever called out David Benavidez? Has he ever given that fight any real energy? Dimitri Bivol vacated his title instead of fighting him. Even though other great trilogies have let other great fights take place in between the trilogies, no, he's going to vacate. He's not fighting. His promoter shot it down, and he's not fighting David Benavidez, right? Canelo Alvarez had him as a mandatory forever. tons of money on the table, would rather sell out and go overseas and get overpaid to fight Crawford instead of genuinely make over $100 million in one night that he could actually draw in the box office in America against David Benavidez. So, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think some of their favorite fighters see what I see and not what they see. Because if they saw what they see, wouldn't they take a pretty good payday and just beat his ass? But no, I think they see more of what I see. This guy is 28, hungry, big as shit, throws a lot of punches, is really fast, and is really talented. No, I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to fight Jaime Munguia, Edgar Berlanga, William Skoll, cash out in Saudi, and fight Crawford coming up from 54. Bivol, no, I'm going to vacate. Beterbiev, no, I'm going to call out Jake Paul, but never really acknowledge David Benavidez. You tell me. You tell me. That's my take on it. So, and with that rant, I will leave you there. There is the alternate viewpoint. If you want to hear the prevailing viewpoint that Bivol, Benavidez just wants to be an email champ and all that, go to the other channels. But that's the alternate viewpoint I offer up. The Morrell fight doesn't make you think he beats a 40-year-old Beterbiev? I think he does, yeah. Benavidez is hype at 175. Remains to be seen ultimately, but I think David Morrell's a bad boy, man. Inexperienced, green, but a bad boy. And he gave David Morrell, Morrell hurt him a couple times, but that almost impressed me because I think Morrell has legit one-punch power, and he hit him with his best shot. He hit him with punches he didn't see coming, in between punches. That's the money punch. The punch they don't see coming, in between punches. And he cracked his ass with his best right hook, and David took it and kept coming belt to ass. So, I think he's a real deal at 75, and I still think he has power at 75. He just doesn't have great power at 75. But I think he got enough. I think he's got enough to get the job done. So all right. Ray Rand said you talked the real. Thank you, brother. Extreme Litness said, God bless Sean. Thank you guys, man. But I think that my voice is running out. I'm going to play some games. Be on the lookout on the channel. I'm going to have my guy, Radio Raheem, check in with me in the morning. And we're going to have a reaction to everything that went down tonight. And then be on the lookout for me on the Porter Way tomorrow and Monday. And keep it locked in. We'll be back. I'll be in Oceanside, California for Gabriela Fundora. I'll be covering that fight in person. I was going to be at Boots tonight, but lost my ID at my son's baseball game. Couldn't get it back in time. I'll be here for a live round by round. The 26th, Eubank and Conor Ben. I'll be here May 2nd at the office for the Haney card. Haney, Tio, and Ryan. And I'll be covering a New Way in Las Vegas that week. So just a lot of stuff will be coming to the channel. Keep it locked in. I just want to thank everybody. MAW, Sparky, GDDD, Reaper, Tay-Day as always. Sean, Marcus, thank you so much, my man. Maria C, Relax, It's Only Money. Swavey, Hunted Dad, Jugs, and everyone. Titus as always. Matt Borgenson as always. Just everybody. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Shout out. And thanks for having fun with me tonight. Great performance by Ennis. Gets an A. No doubt about it. Peace out.